Chapter 1955. It's been 3 months. There are still 9 months before the ultimate trial. It's time to take action. Yi Chunfeng hid in the shadows and waited for several days. He felt that the 9th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda had gradually regained its calm and began to assassinate the 5-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. Although assassinating 5-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits was not easy, with the God-Eater brain senses, Yi Chunfeng could always find the Holy Spirits that were alone or gathered in a small area. Using the invincible sword body and sword domain, he killed them one by one without anyone noticing. In about 13 days, Yi Chunfeng killed more than 300 5-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. However, at this time, there were no longer any Holy Spirits that were alone on the 9th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. This greatly increased the difficulty of Yi Chunfeng's killing. Mirror Image Avatar, move out! Yi Chunfeng was already prepared. He immediately ordered the Mirror Image Avatar hidden in the shadows to move out and attract the Holy Spirits on the 9th level, disrupting their positions and creating conditions for his assassination. Under the 2 Mirror Image Avatars' attraction, the entire 9th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda fell into a riot. A large number of Holy Spirits were once again alarmed and chased after the 2 Mirror Image Avatars. Although the 2 Mirror Image Avatars had the same level of strength as Yi Chunfeng, they had not grasped his various divine abilities. Soon, the 2 Mirror Image Avatars were destroyed by a large number of 5-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits and shattered on the spot. After destroying the Mirror Image Avatars, the 9th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda continued to fall into a riot. However, Yi Chunfeng had long since hidden and concealed his aura. The Holy Spirits in the Divine Spirit Pagoda did not discover him. Slowly, the 9th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda regained its calm. However, Yi Chunfeng, who was hiding in an ancient tree, remained motionless and fell into silence. At this moment, the God-Eater brain had devoured a large number of souls and heavenly Tao souls and finally completed its transformation. Not only did it give birth to a brand new child brain, but it also split out a soul fragment. Supreme Divine Ability, Myriad Swords returned to origin. When Yi Chunfeng fused with the soul fragments, the cultivation chant of a supreme innate technique appeared in his mind. This supreme innate technique was similar to the invincible sword body. If he could comprehend it, it would definitely become his greatest trump card. I'll try to comprehend it for a month first. Let's see if I have the chance to comprehend the 10,000 swords returned to origin. There were still 8 months until the end of the ultimate trial. Yi Chunfeng decided to spend a month comprehending the 10,000 returning sword. If he could comprehend this technique, it would greatly increase his chances of passing the spirit race's ultimate trial. After making the decision, Yi Chunfeng immediately got rid of all distracting thoughts and threw himself into the process of comprehending the 10,000 swords returned to origin. The God-Eater brain evolved once again, and its deduction ability was even more terrifying. It greatly increased Yi Chunfeng's comprehension ability and accelerated his comprehension speed. What is he doing? Why aren't you moving? Just as the old man was marveling at Yi Chunfeng's assassination ability and tactics, he suddenly discovered that Yi Chunfeng had hidden in an ancient tree and suddenly stopped moving, sinking into a cultivation concept. Could he be cultivating? The old man shook his head and revealed a puzzled smile. Ordinary people would race against time and go all out when challenging the Divine Spirit Pagoda. No one would be like Yi Chunfeng, cultivating in the Divine Spirit Pagoda and wasting time. Very quickly, a month passed. Just as the old man was slightly anxious, Yi Chunfeng opened his tightly shut eyes, and his comprehension of the sword Tao deepened by another level. The God-Eater brain has indeed improved a lot after evolving this time. It allowed me to grasp the initial stage of the supreme divine ability, Myriad Swords returned to origin in such a short time. After grasping the initial stage of Myriad Swords return to origin, Yi Chunfeng did not delay any longer. He left the ancient tree and appeared outside. It's time to continue hunting. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng split out 3 mirror image avatars and hid in the dark, preparing to cooperate with him to assassinate a 5-star ancestor realm holy spirit. There are 4 holy spirits there. With the senses of the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng discovered 4 lone holy spirit. He concealed his aura and quietly approached. This is, when approaching the 4 lone holy spirits, Yi Chunfeng unexpectedly discovered that after the evolution of the God-Eater brain, it detected a light spot in each of the holy spirits' bodies. However, the positions of the light spots in the 4 holy spirits' bodies were different. Could this be the source of their power? Yi Chunfeng guessed and decided to use these 4 lone holy spirits as an experiment to test if the God-Eater brain's perception was correct. Ancestor-level sword soul kill. With a thought, the ancestor-level sword soul flew out and attacked the light spot in a 5-star ancestor realm holy spirit's body at an extremely fast speed. The ancestor-level sword soul's attack speed was extremely fast. Before the ancestor realm holy spirit could react, the ancestor-level sword soul pierced through the light spot in his body. In the next moment, the ancestor realm holy spirit's entire body exploded, turning into a ball of air and dissipating in the light space. Sure enough, my guess was right. That light spot is the source of the Holy Spirit's power. With this discovery, Yi Chunfeng was overjoyed and attacked the light spots in the remaining 3 ancestor realm Holy Spirits' bodies. In the blink of an eye, the light spots in the 3 ancestor realm Holy Spirits' bodies shattered, and they turned into 3 balls of air and exploded. After killing 4 ancestor realm Holy Spirits in an instant, Yi Chunfeng continued to conceal his aura and lurked towards the other Holy Spirit. Using the same trick, he controlled the ancestor realm Holy Spirits to continuously shatter the light spots in their bodies, killing them in an instant. Could it be that he discovered the source of the Holy Spirit's power? Seeing the 5-star ancestor realm Holy Spirits unable to withstand a single blow from Yi Chunfeng, the old man immediately guessed that Yi Chunfeng had most likely found the Holy Spirit's fatal weakness, the source of their power. Otherwise, with his strength, it would not be so easy to kill 5-star ancestor realm Holy Spirit. Time passed day by day. Soon, another 20+ days passed. Under Yi Chunfeng's ambush, there were only 100+ 5-element ancestor realm Holy Spirits left in the entire 9th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. The other Holy Spirits were all killed by him at lightning speed. Come out. In order to save time, Yi Chunfeng did not waste any more time. He flew up into the sky and flashed above the space of light, and he emitted a peerlessly domineering voice that attracted all the remaining ancestor realm Holy Spirits in the Divine Spirit Pagoda and prepared to capture them all in one fell swoop. Swoosh! 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 Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who stood in midair and provoked them, a large number of ancestor realm Holy Spirits rushed over fiercely like streams of light and launched ferocious attacks at Yi Chunfeng. They wanted to join forces and kill Yi Chunfeng, who had trespassed into their territory. Chaos Divine Wood, defend. Terrifying attacks came one after another. Yi Chunfeng did not take them head-on. Instead, he quickly summoned the Chaos Divine Wood and borrowed the Chaos Divine Wood's powerful defense to block the attacks that were enough to destroy mountains and tear the sky apart. Invincible Sword Body, myriad swords returned to origin. When the infinitely enlarged Chaos Divine Wood blocked the destructive attacks launched by the Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits, Yi Chunfeng immediately activated the powerful Invincible Sword Body and forcefully executed the myriad swords returned to origin that he had just mastered and was extremely unfamiliar with, attacking the Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. The Invincible Sword Body was evolved to the extreme by Yi Chunfeng and instantly condensed into tens of thousands of unparalleled divine swords. Under his control, they turned into a long river of 10,000 swords that tore through the space in front of him, and like streams of light that penetrated the universe, They attacked the light spots in the bodies of the ancestor realm holy spirits. Chi, Chi, Chi. Under the attack of Yi Qinfeng's myriad swords returned to origin, the light spots in the bodies of the ancestor realm holy spirits were pierced through. In the blink of an eye, nearly 100 5-star ancestor realm holy spirits were killed by Yi Qinfeng's myriad swords returned to origin. This is a top-notch supreme divine ability. Witnessing the scene of Yi Qinfeng killing nearly 100 5-star ancestor realm holy spirits with a single strike, the old man who had been paying attention to Yi Qinfeng was deeply shocked. His eyes widened and he was dumbfounded. Whoosh! Yi Qinfeng's body flashed, and with a powerful sword might, he attacked the dozen or so 5-star ancestor realm holy spirits who had rushed over and were lucky to escape. In less than half an incense stick's time, the remaining dozen or so 5-star ancestor realm holy spirits were also killed by Yi Qinfeng like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. The spatial passageway that led to the 10th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda appeared. Chapter 1956. Phew, there are still 7 months left. If nothing goes wrong, it should be enough for me to complete the ultimate test. Yi Qinfeng smiled faintly as he looked at the spatial passageway leading to the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Originally, he did not have full confidence in completing the 10,000 slaughter. However, after the God-Eater brain evolved, it could see through the fatal weaknesses of sacred spirit. This greatly reduced the threat that sacred spirits posed to him. As long as he was careful, he believed that he would be able to complete an unprecedented feat, complete the 10,000 slaughter, and obtain the ultimate inheritance treasure of the Spirit Clan. After resting for 3 days on the 9th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, Yi Qinfeng endured the immense spatial pressure as he passed through the pitch-black spatial passageway and entered the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, which was as dark as ink and without a trace of light. It was like a world of darkness. Dark space. Although it was pitch black in front of him, and he could not see anything with the naked eye, Yi Qinfeng liked this kind of dark environment the most. With the God-Eater brain, he did not need eyes at all. Moreover, in such a dark space, he could increase his chances of assassinating a 6-star ancestor realm sacred spirit. Let's see how many inheritors are still alive on the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Compared to assassinating a 6-star ancestor realm sacred spirit, the inheritors who were still alive posed a greater threat to Yi Qinfeng. Those who had the strength to step onto the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda were top-notch in terms of strength and talent in the Void God realm. Moreover, all of them had life-saving abilities. It was impossible to kill them in one strike. Yi Qinfeng thought about a plan in his mind. He used mirror image doppelganger and split into 3 mirror images. He had them move quietly and hide in various places, waiting for his orders. After deploying, Yi Qinfeng concealed his aura and moved quietly on the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, searching for inheritors who were still alive. The higher he went, the smaller the space inside the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Yi Qinfeng was like a ghost as he moved carefully in the dark space. He used the God-Eater brain to sense every corner and search for inheritors who were still alive. About 3 days later, Yi Qinfeng used the God-Eater brain to cover almost every corner of the Divine Spirit Tower. He discovered that there were 2 inheritors who were still alive on the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Tower, and their strength was suspected to have reached the peak of the 6-star ancestor realm. Sigh, it's just as I thought. Those who have the ability to step onto the 10th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda and not die are most likely powerhouses at the peak of the 6-star ancestor realm. Moreover, even if they did not step onto this level back then, they should have reached this level after being trapped here for countless years with nothing to do other than cultivate. After confirming the 2 targets, Yi Qinfeng felt that the situation was getting more and more troublesome. His expression turned serious. After all, with his current strength and ability, It was already difficult for him to go against an ordinary 6-star Ancestor Realm expert, let alone kill a peak 6-star Ancestor Realm expert. Moreover, it was impossible for him to kill them in a short period of time. What should we do? Yi Chunfeng bitterly tried to think of a countermeasure. But without any trump cards or treasures to use, he couldn't think of a better way. Sigh, I can only let the 3 mirror image doppelganger lure the saint spirit of the 10th level as far away as possible to create an opportunity for me to kill him. After thinking for a while, Yi Chunfeng felt that there was only one way he could use. He immediately passed the order to the 3 mirror image doppelganger and asked them to take action. Upon receiving the order, the 3 mirror image doppelganger hidden in the dark immediately appeared and flew in the opposite direction of Yi Chunfeng with all their might. Immediately, their appearance caused a huge commotion on the 10th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. A large number of 6-star Ancestor Realm Saint Spirits residing in the dark space were alarmed and chased after them with all their might. The entire 10th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda fell into chaos. Sensing the space of the 10th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, the 2 inheritors who were sitting cross-legged in 2 different directions of the Divine Spirit Pagoda opened their eyes at the same time. Millions of rays of light shot out from their eyes. Whoosh! Just as one of them, a tall and sturdy man wearing a dark blue robe, whose body had long merged into one with the night sky, and whose grayish-white hair draped over his shoulders flew past, Yi Chunfeng, who had been lying in ambush for a long time, suddenly launched a sneak attack on him. Godless Sword. Yi Chunfeng instantly ignited his primordial bloodline and activated his invincible sword body. Holding the ancestral sword soul that had transformed into a black divine sword, he stabbed at the grayish-white-haired man. The grayish-white-haired man's expression changed slightly. He did not expect that there would be someone hiding nearby. He reacted instinctively and threw a punch at the grayish-white-haired man who was attacking him. With a punch, the space in front of Yi Chunfeng constantly shattered. The terrifying fist beam carried an unparalleled destructive power as it collided with Yi Chunfeng's godless sword. Chaos Divine Wood, come out! While facing the grayish-white-haired man's punch head-on, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Chaos Divine Wood. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to sway with the Chaos 5 elemental light as he continued to launch a ferocious attack on the grayish-white-haired man. Bam! Caught off guard, the grayish-white-haired man was struck by the lush treetop of the Chaos Divine Wood. Cracks immediately appeared on his body's defenses. His body fell from mid-air like a kite with a broken string, smashing a huge crater in the ground. After the successful sneak attack, Yi Chunfeng did not give the grayish-white-haired man any chance to catch his breath. He activated his invincible sword body and turned himself into a sword as he continued to launch a ferocious attack on the grayish-white-haired man. Successor, you've angered me. Yi Chunfeng launched a tidal wave of attacks. The grayish-white-haired man, whose injuries were getting more and more serious, was enraged. He executed a killer move to counter the attack. Spatial Black Hole. The man executed the 7th transformation of the spatial laws, attracting a large amount of spatial energy to form a terrifying spatial black hole in front of him. It swallowed everything and tried to devour Yi Chunfeng. Sword Domain Break. As the spatial black hole attacked, Yi Chunfeng immediately opened up an even more powerful sword domain. He borrowed the power of the domain to attack the spatial black hole. Domain, a complete domain. Sensing the might of the sword domain, the grayish-white-haired man's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. What kind of monster are you? In the grayish-white-haired man's opinion, Yi Chunfeng's cultivation realm was not high, but his methods far exceeded his imagination. However, this also aroused the grayish-white-haired man's fighting spirit. He used all his strength to attack and used the spatial laws to forcefully break the sword domain. Sigh, a peak 6-star Ancestor Realm mighty figure is decisive and difficult to deal with. After the sword domain was forcefully broken by the grayish-white-haired man, Yi Chunfeng immediately suffered a backlash. A stream of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, he did not slow down his attacks. He activated his invincible sword body and controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to attack the grayish-white-haired man, killing him with all his strength. The two of them fought fiercely on the 10th level of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, causing a huge commotion. As the grayish-white-haired man's strength was too terrifying, the sword domain that Yi Chunfeng formed was once again shattered by him. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng's 3 mirror image clones were killed by the surging tide of Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. As for the other inheritor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, who was not dead, he noticed the intense battle between Yi Chunfeng and the grayish-white-haired man and rushed over at an extremely fast speed. This made Yi Chunfeng's situation even more dangerous. What should I do? Sensing the second inheritor who was not dead approaching, Yi Chunfeng's expression changed as several thoughts flashed through his mind. Chapter 1957. I'll go all out. In order to obtain the spirit race's ultimate inheritance, Yi Chunfeng gritted his teeth and went all out. Life-soul technique, burn 40,000 years of lifespan. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and burned 50,000 years of his lifespan at all costs, forcefully raising his realm to the 6-star ancestor realm. Infinite chaos. With his strength soaring, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate any longer. He used a supreme divine ability to attack the gray-haired man. With a strike, the phantom of the Chaos Divine Tree appeared. The invincible sword body, ancestor-level sword soul, and 4 ancestor-level Dao diagrams were deduced to the extreme. More than 1 trillion kilograms of power erupted, transforming into a boundless torrent that collapsed space and bombarded the gray-haired man, whose expression changed slightly. Boom! The infinite chaos and the gray-haired man's powerful move collided, erupting with earth-shattering destructive power that tore open cracks in the space on the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Chaos Divine Tree, suppress. After using the infinite chaos to push back the gray-haired man, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the Chaos Divine Tree to suppress him. Sensing the threat posed by Yi Chunfeng, the gray-haired man also went all out. As he deduced a powerful Dao intent to resist the suppression of the Chaos Divine Tree, he used all his strength to desperately attack Yi Chunfeng. After using the Life-Soul technique to raise his strength to the 6-star ancestor realm, Yi Chunfeng's strength soared to the extreme. He didn't dodge the gray-haired man's consecutive killer moves. Instead, he conjured a powerful sword domain and faced them with all his might. With the strength of a 6-star ancestor realm, for a short period of time, Yi Chunfeng's sword domain became even more powerful. Under the attack of the sword domain, the gray-haired man's consecutive attacks were constantly broken and could no longer threaten Yi Chunfeng. As Yi Chunfeng used the sword domain to suppress the gray-haired man with all his might, the second inheritor who hadn't died arrived. Domain, this is the power of a domain. Sensing the strong sword domain around Yi Chunfeng, this woman's eyes lit up. She was dressed in tight, black leather clothes. She had a graceful figure and a curvy figure. Although her appearance was ordinary, she had a pair of peach blossom eyes and a head of deep purple hair. He hasn't reached the half-step void god realm, but he has mastered the power of a domain. How did he do it? The way the purple-haired lady looked at Yi Chunfeng kept changing. Her heart was in turmoil. Zelene, what are you waiting for? Help me destroy him. You and I will have the qualifications to challenge of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. The gray-haired man's outs of the Divine Spirit Pagodas of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Our relationship isn't good. Why should I help you? Out of Yi Chunfeng's expectations, the purple-haired woman did not help the gray-haired man. Seeing this, Yi Chunfeng's heart, which had been hanging in the air, let out a sigh of relief. He continued to increase the intensity of his attacks, attacking the gray-haired man fiercely, worsening his injuries. Zelene, if I'm destroyed, you'll be next. He won't let you go. The gray-haired man did not give up and continued to shout. "Little friend, how about we make a deal? If you agree, I'll help you deal with him." Zeline's beautiful eyes rolled slightly as she looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was showing off his invincible might. "What kind of deal?" Yi Chunfeng asked while attacking fiercely. "Take me out of here and I'll help you deal with him," Zeline suggested. "I'm sorry, but I've already agreed to take someone else away. I can't promise you that." Although Zeline's strength was terrifying and only a step away from half-step void spirit realm, Yi Chunfeng had already agreed to Mu Linger's request. Moreover, Mu Linger, who was suspected to have come from another universe, was even more valuable. Yi Chunfeng was very interested in the supernatural arts she had from another universe. "So it's like that." Zelin gently bit her blood-red lips and said, "All right, I'll change my condition. You take my soul away and swear that you'll find me a perfect body in the future, and I'll help you deal with him." "You're so confident that I can pass the final test?" Yi Chunfeng asked, distracted. "If you're alone, the chances aren't high. But if I help you, then there's a 70% chance." Zeline licked her alluring lips and said patiently, "How about it? Think it over carefully. You won't lose out in our deal. At worst, Big Sister will give you a little more sweetness." "What sweetness?" Yi Chunfeng furrowed his brows. "How about I give you the body I've been lonely for 1,000,000 years? If you can control me, I'll definitely make you want to die." Zeline's peach blossom eyes shone with a misty light. Her alluring expression made him daydream endlessly. But despite her sexy figure, her looks were average. She was the type who could kill with her back view, so Yi Chunfeng wasn't interested in her at all. "All right, I promise you. If you have a way to make your soul leave with me, I swear I'll find you a perfect body and let you be reborn." Zeline's threat wasn't small. In order to get rid of her threat, Yi Chunfeng had to compromise and agree to her terms. "I knew you'd agree." Zeline's red lips curved into a smile as she flew over. Her Tao intent was terrifying as she helped Yi Chunfeng deal with the gray-haired man. "Wait, if you really have the confidence to complete the 10,000 slaughter and pass the spirit tribe's ultimate test, I'm also willing to follow you with my soul and serve you for 1,000 years. The gray-haired man couldn't resist Yi Chunfeng's life spirit technique. Now that he had Zelin's help, he felt even more threatened. In order to survive, he had to compromise. "Ha ha ha, he's already my little man. It's too late for you to say that." Zeline smiled as her slender fingers moved quickly. In an instant, streaks of meteor-like finger radiance flew towards the gray-haired man. Chi chi chi. Under the attack of the streaks of sharp finger radiance, the gray-haired man's body was riddled with holes. His injuries kept worsening. 3,000 god-transforming fists. Yi Chunfeng didn't show any mercy. In an instant, he blasted out 3,000 destructive fist radiance, causing a huge change in heaven and earth. They bombarded the gray-haired man's body from all directions and exploded it. "Stop. Stop right now. If you don't want to be tricked, I advise you not to trust her and stay away from her. She is a wolf that eats people without spitting out the bones. If you take her away and help her rebirth, she will definitely kill you." The gray-haired man had no choice but to shout as his injuries became more and more serious. "Well, don't sow discord. Such a beautiful little brother. I can't wait to love him. How can I bear to kill him?" Zelin's expression didn't change. She continued to attack the gray-haired man. When Yi Chunfeng and Zelin joined hands and attacked the gray-haired man with all their strength, the holy spirits who heard the commotion rushed over like a long river, appearing at an extremely fast speed. "Let's end this quickly and kill him as soon as possible. Otherwise, once I'm surrounded by the holy spirits, I'll be in trouble." Feeling that the holy spirits were getting closer and closer, Yi Chunfeng immediately sent a message to Zelin to urge her. "Okay." Zelin nodded. Her straight and slender legs slid like a dragon. In an instant, she turned into a giant dragon and kicked the gray-haired man fiercely. 10,000 swords returned to sect. When Zilin proposed the ultimate kick, Yi Chunfeng fully activated the invincible sword body and raised the power of the sword principle to the extreme. He turned himself into 10,000 swords and instantly slashed out 10,000 streaks of sword radiance. It was like an endless sea of swords, annihilating the gray-haired man. Bang! Chapter 1958. Let's go. I'll take you to a place to hide. A large number of six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits chased after them. Zilin immediately took Yi Chunfeng and sped through the chaotic 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Pagoda, trying her best to escape the pursuit of the Holy Spirit. However, there were too many Holy Spirits chasing after them. They quickly sealed off their escape route. Don't run. Let's kill them. With their escape route sealed, Yi Chunfeng decisively gave up on escaping. He was prepared to use the Life Spirit technique to kill the Holy Spirits before the amplification effect disappeared. Kill? Are you crazy? Zilin's eyes widened. She was dumbfounded. There were more than 500 Holy Spirits chasing after them. All of them were six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. Such a terrifying force could instantly turn Yi Chunfeng into minced meat. I'm not crazy. If you want to leave with me, then do as I say. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and ordered, not allowing her to refuse. You, Zilin felt like she was going crazy. With their strength, fighting against more than 500 six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits was no different from courting death. However, at this time, Yi Chunfeng had already turned around and rushed towards the Holy Spirits like a tide. The distance between them was getting closer and closer. Damn it, what is going on? Am I going to draw water with a bamboo basket this time for nothing? Zilin gritted her teeth and followed Yi Chunfeng closely. However, she did not hold any hope in her heart. Chaos Divine Wood, block. Yi Chunfeng did not hesitate to summon the Chaos Divine Wood when he saw the six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits flying towards him. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to grow bigger and bigger until it turned into a towering Divine Wood in front of him, blocking the attacks of the ferocious six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. Boom! 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 The instant Yi Chunfeng summoned the primal Chaos Divine Wood, the six-star Ancestral Realm Holy Spirits launched ferocious attacks that bombarded the primal Chaos Divine Wood. The primal Chaos Divine Wood shook violently and went completely out of control. 10,000 swords returned to origin. While the Chaos Divine Tree forcefully withstood the attacks of the six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits, Yi Chunfeng activated his invincible sword body and unleashed a powerful sword domain. He flew to the trembling five-colored treetop of the Chaos Divine Tree and instantly transformed into thousands of invincible sword rays that attacked the six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits at the forefront. Chi. Under the God-Eater Brain's rapid deduction, Yi Chunfeng instantly captured the fatal weakness of nearly 100 six-star Ancestor Realm Saint Spirit. With a single strike, he pierced through the source of their power and killed them instantly. How is this possible? Witnessing the scene of Yi Chunfeng killing nearly 100 six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits with a single strike, Zilin's peach blossom eyes widened. She couldn't believe what had just happened, and it was as if she had seen a ghost. Since when were six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits so easy to kill? Recalling the despair she felt when she killed the six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits back then, she couldn't figure out how Yi Chunfeng could kill nearly 100 six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits in a single strike. Chaos Divine Tree continued to defend. After one strike, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Tree, which was under great pressure, to continue to defend against the attacks of the remaining six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits. While the Chaos Divine Tree was defending with all its might, the God-Eater Brain rapidly deduced and continued to search for the source of power of the other six-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits. After the evolution of the God-Eater Brain, Its deduction ability had reached an extremely terrifying level. Under its extreme deduction, Yi Chunfeng discovered the fatal weakness of several dozen Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits and continued to attack with myriad returning sword. Swish, swish, swish. A series of ear-piercing sounds rang out. Under the attack of myriad returning swords, several dozen 6-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits instantly exploded. F*CK, this guy is too freakish. In just 2 moves, he had killed nearly 200 6-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. This made Zi Lin's heart tremble as she looked at Yi Chunfeng with a burning gaze. Only this kind of man is worthy of me, Zi Lin thought in her heart. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and attack. Distract them. Yi Chunfeng shouted at Zi Lin, whose eyes were burning with passion and heart-shaped eyes. I'm no longer an inheritor. I can only help you defend, but I can't help you kill them. Zi Lin transmitted her voice. All right, then help me defend. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Space black hole. Zi Lin didn't hesitate. Powerful space law surged out of her hot body, causing the rolling space force to surge crazily. In an instant, a space black hole was formed, blocking in front of Yi Chunfeng. Space black hole, 7 changes of space law. Yi Chunfeng didn't expect Zi Lin to have cultivated space law to such a level, and his eyes lit up. Ka. The moment Zi Lin formed the space black hole, the Chaos Divine Wood was blasted away by the tide of Holy Spirit. The powerful residual power fiercely bombarded the space black hole that devoured everything, causing cracks to appear on the space black hole. It was about to shatter. Taking advantage of the dual defense of the Chaos Divine Wood and the space black hole, the God-Eater brain that was rapidly deducing captured the fatal weakness of dozens of Ancestor Realm Holy Spirit. Yi Chunfeng used the 10,000 returning swords and attacked with all his strength, piercing through the source of their power and killing them. 100 layers of space restriction. After 3 attacks, Yi Chunfeng immediately mobilized the powerful space force and formed 100 space restrictions in front of him to resist the attacks of the remaining Holy Spirit. When the 100 layers of space restriction was broken through by more than 200 Holy Spirits, Yi Chunfeng and Zi Lin had already dodged to the distance, avoiding their space. Should we retreat or continue to attack? Zi Lin glanced at Yi Chunfeng, who had completely broken her understanding, and asked, There are only more than 200 Holy Spirits left. Let's kill them first. Yi Chunfeng delayed, summoned the Chaos Divine Wood again, and killed more than 200 Holy Spirit. With the Chaos Divine Wood, Zi Lin was in charge of defense, and Yi Chunfeng was in charge of offense. More than 200 Holy Spirits almost didn't cause much trouble for Yi Chunfeng before he found their fatal weakness and killed them. Let's go, we'll find other Holy Spirits and destroy them as soon as possible. After killing more than 500 6-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits, Yi Chunfeng took advantage of the Life Soul Technique's amplitude consumption to search for the Holy Spirits on the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Tower. What a monster! She thought back to when she challenged the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Tower, afraid of encountering a group of Holy Spirits, but Yi Chunfeng specifically found places with many Holy Spirits and used the 10,000 returning swords that made her heart tremble, killing the 6-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits one by one. Why is it so easy for him to kill the 6-star Ancestor Realm Holy Spirits? Could it be that he can see through these Holy Spirits and find their fatal weakness? Zi Lin's eyes widened as she thought of the possibility. Zi Lin wasn't the only one who was shocked by Yi Chunfeng's shocking methods. The old man who had set up the shocking chessboard also revealed a look of shock. Although he felt that Yi Chunfeng might pass, he didn't expect Yi Chunfeng to pass so easily. Amazing, I didn't expect that the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Tower, which no one has ever passed, would be no threat to him. The old man's eyes were even more gratified. Junior, I want to see how great your potential is. I'll make it more difficult for you. Chapter 1959. Don't run. You're the only one left in the entire tower. Yi Chunfeng slaughtered crazily for a few days. He killed 999 holy spirits on the 10th floor of the Divine Spirit Tower. Only one holy spirit was left, desperately trying to escape. Ancestral sword soul break. Yi Chunfeng's sharp eyes locked onto the Saint Spirit's fatal weakness. He controlled the ancestor-level sword spirit and pierced through the Saint Spirit's body, destroying the source of his power and killing him. 10,000 human slaughter complete. After Yi Chunfeng killed the last holy spirit, a deep voice echoed throughout the entire tower. In the next moment, a giant spatial door appeared above the 10th floor. Beams of holy light shone from the spatial door. Finally passed. Seeing the spatial door that suddenly appeared, Yi Chunfeng let out a sigh of relief. He brought the excited Zilin through the spatial door. This isn't the exit. After flying through the spatial door, Yi Chunfeng was stunned. He realized that the spatial door wasn't the exit of the tower. It was a mysterious space. Floating in the starry space was an old man in a white robe. He had a long white beard and a red face. His entire body seemed to be one with the starry space. Elder God. Zilin immediately recognized this white-robed old man. He was the weapon spirit of the Divine Spirit Tower. He was the true controller of the tower, the Elder God. Junior, you're not bad. You completed the never-before-completed 10,000 human slaughter so easily. The Elder God opened his muddy eyes and looked at Yi Chunfeng. He coldly said, "And I am your final test." Final test? Yi Chunfeng frowned and said with surprise, "Senior, is the 10,000 human slaughter not the final test? The 10,000 human slaughter is the final test, but you want to take 2 people from the Cave of Death. You've broken the rules of the Cave of Death, so we added another test for you. If you can complete it, not only will you obtain the ultimate treasure of the spirit race, but you can also take away the little girl and her soul outside." Alright, what is the test? Yi Chunfeng wasn't a man who went back on his word. Since he'd promised Mu Linger and Zilin, he wouldn't abandon them. Defeat me. As long as you defeat me, you will pass the test. The Divine Elder said. Defeat you? Yi Chunfeng glared at him and said, "Can I use my treasures?" "No, you can't use any treasures. You can only fight me with your own strength." The Divine Elder shook his head. "Senior, what if I fail the challenge?" Yi Chunfeng asked. "If you fail, everything here will no longer belong to you. You will be suppressed by me forever." The Divine Elder said. "Alright then. Senior, can you allow me to make some adjustments before we begin the test?" Yi Chunfeng said helplessly. "No problem. You can have a good rest. When you're in your best condition, just look for me." After he finished speaking, the Divine Elder floating in the air didn't say anything else. "You wait for me here." Yi Chunfeng tried to connect with the Qiankuan realm and discovered that he could do so without the Divine Spirit Pagoda's restrictions. He entered the Qiankuan realm and took out multiple precious fruits of life. He swallowed them all to recover the 50,000 years of life he'd lost. After absorbing the life force, Yi Chunfeng immediately adjusted his condition in the 30x time flow. When a day had passed in the outside world, Yi Chunfeng left the Qiankuan realm and arrived in front of the Divine Elder. "Senior, I've adjusted my condition. I can begin the challenge now." "Alright, be careful now." The Divine Elder opened his eyes and slowly rose to his feet in the air. Tens of thousands of streams of energy surged in from all directions and entered the Divine Elder's body. Assimilate the power of the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Sensing that these streams of energy were from the Divine Spirit Pagoda, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate to summon the Primal Chaos Divine Wood. Primal Chaos Divine Wood, suppress the space. To defeat the Divine Elder, cutting off his connection with the Divine Spirit Pagoda was crucial. As long as he couldn't borrow the pagoda's power to attack, it would be the same as cutting off his legs and greatly weakening his battle prowess. This is the Primal Chaos Divine Wood. Looking at the continuously expanding Chaos Divine Wood, which was emitting Chaos 5 elements light, the Divine Elder, who had existed for countless years, guessed the origin of the Chaos Divine Wood. Correct, this is the Primal Chaos Divine Wood. Many people knew about the Primal Chaos Divine Wood, so Yi Chunfeng didn't hide it and nodded. He has the Primal Chaos Divine Wood. Zilin's eyes lit up at this moment. She was determined to conquer Yi Chunfeng. Junior, you won't use the Primal Chaos Divine Wood, and I won't borrow the pagoda's power. Let's fight with our own strength. The Divine Elder wanted to test Yi Chunfeng's potential and suggested. Sure. Yi Chunfeng nodded and recalled the Primal Chaos Divine Wood. The Divine Elder also stopped fusing the pagoda's power. A long spear that seemed to be formed by countless light runes appeared in his hand. Junior, be careful, the Divine Elder warned. His entire body fused with the long spear like a swaying dragon. He roared and attacked Yi Chunfeng. Grand Mist Bloodline Ignition, Invincible Sword Body. As the Divine Elder attacked, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate to ignite his powerful bloodline power and activate his strongest physique. He turned into an invincible divine sword and met the attack head-on. Bang! The divine sword Yi Chunfeng turned into collided with the Divine Elder's light rune spear. Instantly, endless sparks surged out, causing the entire space to tremble. What a powerful attack! After taking the attack head-on, Yi Chunfeng felt his body being pierced by the Divine Elder's spear. The blood in his body churned, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. After the spear, the air beneath the Divine Elder's feet churned violently. He turned into a surging wave that seemed to be able to swallow the heavens and earth. He launched a ferocious attack at Yi Chunfeng, wanting to swallow him whole. Sword Domain. Facing the Divine Elder who had turned into a huge wave, Yi Chunfeng immediately opened up his powerful sword domain. Countless sword lights revolved within the domain, blocking the Divine Elder's attack with all his strength. Boom! The giant wave formed by the Divine Elder slammed into Yi Chunfeng's domain of swords. The terrifying power caused countless cracks to appear on the domain of swords. The light swords circling in the domain of swords were instantly shattered. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's sword domain couldn't withstand the Divine Elder's attack and completely shattered. Yi Chunfeng immediately suffered a powerful backlash from the domain. He spat out a large amount of blood. Sword steps. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng ignored his injuries and used sword steps to dodge the Divine Elder's attack. However, his injuries continued to worsen under the Divine Elder's attacks. His clothes were already dyed red with blood. Junior, if your strength is only this much, then you will not be able to defeat me. The Divine Elder looked at the bloodstained Yi Chunfeng and said in a domineering manner, "Phew. Senior, the battle has just begun. Isn't it a little too early to talk about victory and defeat?" Yi Chunfeng gently wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The God-Eater brain continued to deduce, sensing the Divine Elder's weakness. After experiencing the Divine Elder's terrifying strength, he knew that if he wanted to win, he had to find the Divine Elder's weakness. Chapter 1960. Come on, you can't lose. Yi Chunfeng was Zilin's only hope to escape. If Yi Chunfeng could defeat the Divine Elder, she could entrust her soul to Yi Chunfeng and leave this damned place that had trapped her for countless years. Don't worry, I won't lose. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and once again propped up the powerful sword domain to resist the Divine Elder who was far stronger than him. Although the sword domain is strong, your strength is too weak. You can't display the true power of the sword domain, so the power of the domain is no threat to me, the Divine Elder said indifferently. He wasn't surprised that Yi Chunfeng could evolve a complete domain at the ancestral realm. Whoosh! The Divine Elder's spear was like a flash of light as it pierced through the sword domain and attacked Yi Chunfeng. Ancestral sword soul break. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng controlled the ancestral sword soul to turn into a black divine sword and stabbed at the sword light. Ka ka ka. In a series of intense explosions, Yi Chunfeng borrowed the power of the ancestral sword soul and sword domain to break the Divine Elder's spear attack. I want to see how many of my attacks you can break. After the sword light was broken, the Divine Elder continued to attack the sword domain with the light rune spear. Limitless chaos. When Yi Chunfeng saw the streaks of spear lights, a huge primal chaos divine tree image appeared behind him. With this strike, Yi Chunfeng combined all his strength and blasted out the infinite primal chaos force. It easily shattered the horrifying fist lights. Sword steps. When the two powerful attacks collided, Yi Chunfeng used the sword steps and instantly passed through the storm. He approached the Divine Elder and blasted out the 3,000 transformation god fists. Boom boom boom. A series of deafening explosions resounded. Under the attack of Yi Chunfeng's 3,000 transformation god fists, the space where the Divine Elder was just at collapsed. However, the Divine Elder's reaction was too fast. In the blink of an eye, he had dodged several thousand meters away, causing Yi Chunfeng's attack to miss. Junior, your attack speed is a bit slow, the Divine Elder who was hiding in the distance said indifferently. Senior, see if you can dodge my punch. A light flashed under Yi Chunfeng's feet as he flew toward the Divine Elder using the sword steps. When he was 10 meters away from the Divine Elder, Yi Chunfeng suddenly sped up the flow of time and threw a punch at the Divine Elder. Time acceleration. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's attack speed suddenly increase, the Divine Elder instinctively dodged. But the moment he dodged, he was surprised to find that Yi Chunfeng's punch was slowing down again and again. Not good. After a short pause, Yi Chunfeng, who had used the time deceleration law again, landed a punch on the Divine Elder's body. More than 2 trillion gene of power suddenly erupted. The surging power was like a tide that broke through a dam as it bombarded the Divine Elder's body. It crazily damaged his body and forced him to take several steps back. Time acceleration law, time deceleration law. I didn't expect you to have grasped the 2 changes of the time law. The Divine Elder revealed a surprised expression as he regarded Yi Chunfeng with even more importance. Yi Chunfeng's close-range attack was precisely because he wanted to use the God-Eater brain to sense the Divine Elder's body and find his fatal weakness. His chest. Under the God-Eater brain's rapid deduction, Yi Chunfeng felt that the Divine Elder's chest seemed to be the source of his power. However, because the Divine Elder was dodging too quickly, the God-Eater brain couldn't determine where the Divine Elder's fatal weakness was. After locking onto the Divine Elder's chest, Yi Chunfeng held his ancestral sword spirit and continued to attack the Divine Elder. Godless sword. Yi Chunfeng deduced the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams to their limit. With a thrust of his sword, the terrifying godless sword seized the brilliance of the heavens and earth. It tore through space and stabbed towards the Divine Elder's chest. The Divine Elder didn't dodge Yi Chunfeng's sword. Instead, he raised his light spear to meet the attack with all his strength. Wang wang wang. The tip of the spear and sword collided. Instantly, endless sparks surged out. A terrifying energy spread out from the 2 divine weapons, riddling space with thousands of holes. God-Eater brain, rapid deduction. Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth and activated the invincible sword body. More than 2 trillion gene of strength, the sword domain, and the power of the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams. He attacked with all his might, allowing the God-Eater brain to sense the changes in the Divine Elder's body and find his fatal weakness. Yi Chunfeng used almost all of his strength in this strike. However, the Divine Elder's strength was too terrifying. In just 10 breaths of time, Yi Chunfeng's injuries began to worsen. He spat out mouthfuls of blood. His right hand, which was holding onto his ancestral sword spirit, cracked from the powerful recoil. Junior, you're too weak. You can't defeat me. The Divine Elder fiercely exerted his strength. A refined spear light ruthlessly struck the ancestral sword spirit, forcibly shattering it and sending Yi Chunfeng flying several thousand meters away. This, he won't lose, right? If he loses, what should I do? Should I continue to be trapped in this damned place? Seeing the heavily injured Yi Chunfeng being sent flying by the Divine Elder's spear, Zilin felt a little despair. Not necessarily. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the roiling blood in his body. He quickly repaired the cracks in his ancestral sword spirit and continued to attack the Divine Elder. Without using the Life Soul technique, the difference in strength between Yi Chunfeng and the Divine Elder was too great. He used all of his skills and almost all of his trump cards, but he still couldn't injure the Divine Elder. However, he was sent flying again and again by the Divine Elder's spear of light. His injuries continued to worsen. "Junior, do you admit defeat or not?" the Divine Elder said emotionlessly as he looked at the heavily injured Yi Chunfeng, whose clothes had long since been dyed red with blood. "Continue." Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and said with high fighting spirit. Holding his ancestral sword spirit, he opened his sword domain and continued to launch a fierce attack at the Divine Elder. "All right, I'd like to see how long you can last," the Divine Elder said coldly. He continued to attack with his spear of light, sending out streaks of spear light that shattered Yi Chunfeng's attacks and pierced his body. "It's over, it's all over." Seeing Yi Chunfeng's body almost explode from the Divine Elder's attacks and only have the strength to defend himself, Zilin felt as if she had been struck by lightning. She fell into despair. "Do you admit defeat or not?" Seeing Yi Chunfeng's injuries getting more and more serious, the Divine Elder's cold eyes revealed a trace of admiration as he asked loudly. "Continue." Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and controlled the primordial blood to forcefully suppress the injuries on his body. Although Yi Chunfeng's injuries were very serious, he didn't feel despair in his heart. Instead, his blood-stained eyes became even more determined. Under the God-Eater brain's rapid deduction, he had basically locked onto the Divine Elder's fatal weakness. Success or failure depends on this. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and fearlessly charged at the invincible Divine Elder. When the Divine Elder's arm merged with his spear of light, Yi Chunfeng's gaze locked onto a certain spot on the Divine Elder's chest. In the next moment, he used the sect-returning swords that he had never used before and launched a fatal attack at the Divine Elder. Sect-returning swords. Yi Chunfeng raised the attack power of the invincible sword physique to the extreme. In an instant, tens of thousands of invincible swords appeared and destroyed the entire space, attacking the Divine Elder's fatal weakness. As the sect-returning swords attacked, the Divine Elder instinctively changed his moves to defend. However, the attack power of the sect-returning swords was too terrifying, and Yi Chunfeng was intentionally attacking the Divine Elder's fatal weakness. Boom, boom, boom. Amidst a series of intense explosions. Chapter 1961. Junior, you've won. The Divine Elder struggled to get up from the ground. Because his weak point had suffered a fatal blow, the Divine Elder had become incomparably weak. His voice trembled as he spoke. He won this, he really won. Zilin felt as if her brain couldn't wrap itself around this. Yi Chunfeng, who had just been suppressed by the Divine Elder and only had the strength to defend himself, had defeated the Divine Elder in the blink of an eye. This scene seemed like a play that made Zilin feel as if it was fake. "Then, Senior, will I be able to obtain the ultimate treasure that the Spirit Clan left here?" Yi Chunfeng asked. "Yes, I'll send you to see the Spirit Ancestor." The Divine Elder nodded and used the power of the Divine Essence Pagoda to send Yi Chunfeng and Zilin out. "Not bad, not bad. Junior, you're even more outstanding than I imagined." Seeing Yi Chunfeng teleport out of the Divine Essence Pagoda, the Spirit Ancestor slowly stood up and excitedly spoke. "Come with me, I'll take you to the treasure right now." With that, the Spirit Ancestor tore open a spatial rift and brought Yi Chunfeng to the forbidden area of the Cave of Death, the place where the treasure was sealed. Thump, thump, thump. When the spirit ancestor opened the seal that had been sealed for an unknown number of years, Yi Chunfeng could clearly hear a loud heartbeat in the ancient temple in front of him, causing the blood in his body to surge. Senior, this heartbeat is... Yi Chunfeng's eyes widened as he looked at the spirit ancestor and asked. This heart is the heart of a god, one of the opportunities one obtained on the ancient path of stars. The spirit ancestor said. The ancient path of stars. Senior, you've been to the ancient path of stars. Yi Chunfeng's eyes widened, revealing a look of deep shock. Yes, in ancient times I once entered the ancient path of the starry sky. However, the ancient path of the starry sky was too dangerous, and I could only wander around the periphery. However, my luck was pretty good and I obtained 2 treasures on the ancient path of the starry sky. However, it was these 2 treasures that brought about a calamity to the Ling clan. Ling Taizu nodded. Senior, I have a question. You are so powerful, but why is the spirit clan so weak? As far as Yi Chunfeng knew, the spirit clan was only as powerful as the Green Sky clan, so he asked in confusion. Because I'm not a true spirit race. The blood flowing in my body is the blood of the god race. The spirit race is just a race that I created by leaving behind my inheritance in the heaven realm. Spirit Great Ancestor explained. So that's how it is. Upon hearing Spirit Taizu's explanation, many of Yi Chunfeng's questions were answered. Senior, apart from this god's heart, what else did you obtain on the ancient road of stars? Yi Chunfeng asked curiously. In addition to the heart of God, I also obtained the map of the Tomb of Massacre. Spirit Taizu said. The map of the Tomb of Massacre. Yi Chunfeng's eyes widened, revealing a puzzled expression as he asked, why would the map of the Tomb of Massacre appear on the ancient road of stars? At first, when I obtained the map of the Tomb of Massacre, I was as puzzled as you. However, later on, I gained a deeper understanding of the ancient road of stars and understood the reason. The ancient road of stars is a name passed down from ancient times. However, this name is not accurate. The real name of the ancient road of stars should be the ruins of gods. Spirit Great Ancestor said in an earth-shattering manner. Ruins of gods. That means the ancient road of stars is a place created by God. Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows as he spoke in astonishment. That's right. The ancient road of stars is a place created by God. It is also a place where God is buried. Spirit Great Ancestor nodded and said, and according to my guess, the numerous secret realms of the void god world were most likely created by God. That's why the map of the Tomb of Massacre appeared on the ancient road of stars. Senior, when does the ancient road of stars usually open? How can one enter the ancient road of stars? Yi Chunfeng suppressed the shock in his heart and continued to ask. I don't know when the ancient road of stars opens, but during our era, as long as one's strength reached the 6-star ancestor realm, they could enter the ancient road of stars. Later on, the heaven race became dominant. In order to prevent outsiders from obtaining the opportunity to become a god, the heaven race forcefully sealed the entrance to the ancient road of stars, leading to a war between the races of the void god world. Spirit Great Ancestor revealed another important piece of information to Yi Chunfeng. Senior, there's still something I don't understand. Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment before saying, there should only be one chance to become a god, and the heaven race is divided into the heaven race and the heaven race. Logically speaking, Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven should be competitors with each other, but why are the heaven race so harmonious? I've also thought about this question before. Spirit Great Ancestor said. Later on, I had a bold guess. Perhaps Supreme God Heaven and Supreme Emperor Heaven are one person. One person. Yi Chunfeng's eyes widened, and he was immediately dumbfounded. If it wasn't for one person, the heaven race would have broken off long ago. It would be impossible for them to be so harmonious and control the majority of the Void God world's resources and territory. Spirit Great Ancestor nodded his head and said, "However, this is only my guess. Whether it's the truth or not, you need to find out for yourself. Alright, let's go in." After revealing many secrets of the Void God world to Yi Chunfeng, Spirit Great Ancestor brought Yi Chunfeng into the ancient palace. "Junior, this God's heart and the map of the Tomb of Slaughter are my two most precious treasures back then. I will pass them to you now. I hope that after obtaining these two treasures, you can avenge the God race and the Spirit race and destroy the Heaven race." Spirit Great Ancestor instructed. "Senior, don't worry. The Heaven race is also my enemy. I will definitely exterminate these ambitious people and return peace to the Void God world." Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and promised. "That's right. Junior, ever since I obtained this God's heart, I have not fused with it. I don't know what kind of effect it will have. Therefore, you must be mentally prepared. Perhaps there will be danger when fusing with the God's heart." Spirit Great Ancestor solemnly reminded. "I understand. I believe that I can control the God's heart." Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and said in a firm tone, "Alright, cut open your body now. I will fuse the God's heart into your body and help you transform your physical body to reach a higher realm." Spirit Great Ancestor nodded his head and said, "Chi." With a thought, Yi Chunfeng's ancestor sword spirit flew out of his sea of soul and cut open his skin. In the next moment, Spirit Great Ancestor summoned the God's heart and forcibly fused it into Yi Chunfeng's body. So heavy! When the God's heart entered Yi Chunfeng's body, Yi Chunfeng felt as if a towering mountain had appeared in his body. An incomparably heavy force pressed down on his internal organs and made it difficult for him to breathe. "Junior, use all of your strength to refine this God's heart," Spirit Great Ancestor said as he looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was unable to withstand the power of the God's heart. Many cracks had appeared on the surface of his body. Spirit Great Ancestor sent energy seals into Yi Chunfeng's body as he spoke. "All right." Yi Chunfeng bit his lips and controlled his powerful ancestor Qi and Grand Mist blood to refine the God's heart. The ancestor Qi's effect of refining the God's heart was minimal. However, the Grand Mist blood's effect of refining the God's heart was very obvious. Under the Grand Mist blood's refinement, the God's heart began to slowly fuse with Yi Chunfeng. The burden on his body gradually lessened. Just as Yi Chunfeng was fully immersed in the process of refining the God's heart, the entire Death Cave was suddenly attacked by a terrifying force. It shook violently and woke Yi Chunfeng up. "What's happening?" Yi Chunfeng knew very well how terrifying the Death Cave was. The person who could shake the Death Cave was definitely not an ordinary virtual god. "Don't be distracted. Refine the God's heart with all of your strength." Spirit Great Ancestor's expression did not change as he instructed Lin Huang through voice transmission. "Yes, Senior." Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath. As he fused with the energy seals that Spirit Great Ancestor had sent into his body, he controlled the Grand Mist blood to fuse with the God's heart. Rumble. Chapter 1962. "Senior, who exactly is attacking the Death Cave?" Yi Chunfeng said with a solemn expression. Two terrifying figures appeared in his mind. "If I'm not wrong, the one attacking the Death Cave is Supreme God Heaven," Spirit Ancestor said in a low voice. His calm face revealed a trace of solemnity. "Supreme God Heaven, he's really here." Yi Chunfeng's face sank. "Don't worry. Although Supreme God Heaven is strong, the Death Cave is not so easy to break through. Today, I want to experience the strength of the number one person in the Void God realm," Spirit Ancestor said domineeringly. He took out a hexagonal plate and quickly crushed it. The hexagonal plate shattered, and all the restrictions in the Death Cave were activated. At this time, Supreme God Heaven, who had shattered the entrance of the Death Cave, stepped on the cold sea water and walked into the Death Cave step by step. The moment he walked into the death cave, he suddenly felt the space under his feet change. His expression changed slightly as he turned into a light shadow and moved instinctively. Boom, boom, boom. The moment he moved, a series of explosions rang out. The terrifying explosive force continuously attacked Supreme God Heaven, attacking his body's defense. However, Supreme God Heaven was powerful. The terrifying explosive force was unable to break through his body's defense. In the dense explosions, he was like a stream of light as he advanced at an extremely fast speed. Buzz, buzz. When he passed by a huge array diagram, a powerful teleportation light suddenly surged out from the array diagram and instantly engulfed his body, wanting to teleport him away. Break. When Supreme God Heaven was teleported by the teleportation light, he immediately threw a punch at the huge array diagram. Crack. Supreme God Heaven was known as the number one person in the Void God realm. How terrifying was his punch! With one punch, the huge array diagram immediately shattered. The teleportation light that shot into the sky also disappeared. However, when the teleportation light disappeared, the huge array diagram exploded at this moment. The terrifying explosive force ruthlessly attacked Supreme God Heaven's body's defense, causing small cracks to appear on his body, causing his body to tremble slightly. Interesting. I didn't expect there to be so many restrictions hidden here. I want to see who left this behind. Although Supreme God Heaven knew that there were even more restrictions inside, he was confident in his own strength. He was confident that there was no place in the Void God realm that could threaten him. Tai Shintian gently waved his arm, directly tearing through the center of the explosion, and continued to walk towards the death cave. However, he did not know that the path he was taking was completely different from the path Yi Chunfeng had taken. He was walking step by step towards the most dangerous death cave in the Death Sea. Junior, don't be distracted. Focus on refining the God's heart. Only when you've completely refined the God's heart will I be able to let you leave without worry. Yi Chunfeng was immediately distracted by the constant explosions. At this time, Spirit Taizu's voice rang out in his ears, solemnly warning him. All right. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and cleared his mind of all distracting thoughts. He controlled the primordial blood to continue refining the heart of God, speeding up the process of assimilating it into his body. With the fusion of the God Spirit heart, Yi Chunfeng's strength was increasing rapidly. His ancestral power was getting stronger and stronger, and it was reaching its limit. This God Spirit heart is indeed obtained from the ancient Star Road. It's really terrifying. Yi Chunfeng had just broken through to become a 3-star Dao ancestor. It was impossible for him to break through to 4-star in a short time. However, as he slowly merged the God Spirit heart and the energy talismans, he was shocked to find that his strength was increasing rapidly. He had a feeling that if he refined the God Spirit heart, he might be able to break through to 4-star Dao ancestor. Rumble. When Yi Chunfeng was fully immersed in the process of refining the God Spirit heart, there was another loud explosion outside the death cave. The sound was so strong that it caused the entire death cave to shake violently. Amazing! Supreme God Heaven is indeed the number one person in the Void God realm. He's really powerful. Spirit Taizu felt that the restrictions he had left behind in the death cave were being destroyed by Supreme God Heaven's absolute strength. However, Supreme God Heaven was not injured. The grave expression on Spirit Taizu's face became thicker. However, the path that Supreme God Heaven took did not lead to the depths of the death cave. It was not a threat to Yi Chunfeng. Very soon, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, the Supreme Divine Heaven had broken through countless restrictions and was getting closer and closer to the most dangerous death cave in the Dead Sea. What a strong death energy! What's in front? Feeling that the death energy in the space was getting stronger, Supreme God Heaven creased his eyebrows. He was suspicious. However, he did not slow down. He continued to move forward and arrived outside the death cave. This is, standing outside the bottomless death cave, Supreme God Heaven creased his eyebrows even tighter as he looked at the skeletons scattered around the death cave. Could this be the place where the almighty skeletons were buried back then? Supreme God Heaven muttered to himself. There's something down there. Staring at the bottomless death cave, Supreme God Heaven's powerful senses detected a weak aura fluctuation under the death cave. He immediately leaped into the death cave to check out what was going on. Supreme God Heaven, you think too highly of yourself. Sensing that Supreme God Heaven had leaped into the death cave, Ling Taizu let out a cold smile. He was ready to activate the restriction that he had placed in the death cave to attack Supreme God Heaven. Chaotic stone, this is a chaotic stone. Leaping into the death cave, Supreme God Heaven found a chaotic stone that was a few feet tall in the deepest part of the death cave. Beneath the chaotic stone there were many skeletons. Looking at the remaining aura on the skeletons, they were extremely powerful when they were alive. Some of them were even half-step to empty God. Chaotic stone, keep. Not only could the chaotic stone be used to create supreme ancestral weapons, it could also be used to create empty God weapons. The chaotic stone before him was so huge that even Supreme God Heaven was tempted. Just as he was about to take the chaotic stone away, a powerful aura was awakened within the chaotic stone. Weapon spirit, there's a weapon spirit hidden within the chaotic stone. Supreme God Heaven had not expected that there would be a terrifying weapon spirit hidden within the chaotic stone. Even he had not noticed it. The appearance of the weapon spirit made Supreme God Heaven feel that something was amiss. However, he was too arrogant. Moreover, the chaotic stone was too tempting, and he did not leave immediately. Something's not right. When Supreme God Heaven was forcefully taking the chaotic stone, the weapon spirit hidden within the chaotic stone suddenly self-destructed. The terrifying force of the self-destruction instantly poured into the chaotic stone, detonating the restrictions that Ling Taizu had placed in the chaotic stone over countless years. Boom! Weapon spirit, thousands of restrictions exploded at the same time. The resulting force shattered the chaotic stone. When the chaotic stone shattered, it triggered the other restrictions in the death cave. The death energy that was suppressed by the chaotic stone exploded at the same time, bombarding Supreme God Heaven, who had nowhere to run. It's a trap. At that moment, Supreme God Heaven realized that he had been tricked. Whether it was the chaotic stone or the weapon spirit, both were bait to lure him. Their purpose was to destroy him. Chapter 1963. Senior, what's wrong? Yi Chunfeng, who was refining the god's heart with all his might, was once again awakened by the huge tremors. He opened his eyes and asked in shock. Just now I used the death cave, a chaos stone, a weapon spirit that I sealed for countless years, and a large number of seals to trick Supreme Shintian. Spirit Ancestor said, if I can't severely injure Supreme Shintian, then I can only detonate the death cave. Detonate the death cave? Then Senior, you. Yi Chunfeng's expression changed. My lifespan has long reached its end and I can't live for much longer. You have completed my test and obtained my two great treasures. I have no regrets. Furthermore, if I can severely injure Supreme Shintian before I die and teach him a lesson, it's a good choice. Alright, don't be distracted. Continue refining the god's heart. After refining it, I'll send you guys away, Spirit Ancestor said. At the same time, the explosion from the death cave was getting more and more intense. Although the Supreme Shintian was the #1 person in the Void God realm, and it was rumored that he had 1 foot in the great perfection of the Void God realm, he was still unable to withstand the explosive power of the death cave. His powerful defensive trump cards were shattered one by one, and his injuries started to worsen. He was even being pushed into the alternate space by this destructive power. Create space. At the critical moment, Supreme Shintian used the most profound 9 levels of the space rules of order to create and repair space, blocking the attack of the death cave. Slaughter body, break for me! Using the created space to forcefully withstand the attack of the death cave, Supreme Shentian activated the massacre body that he had obtained from the massacre tomb. He forcefully tore open the death space and escaped towards the death cave. Boom, boom, boom. The death acupoint continued to explode as waves of terrifying explosive power repeatedly attacked Supreme Shintian's body. However, the massacre body was extremely terrifying. Using the massacre body's defense, Supreme Shintian's body defense reached the level of a full-body defense. He continued to dissolve the explosive power produced by the death cave. When Supreme Shintian, who was extremely fast, flew above the completely collapsed death cave, his face turned pale and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. As the number one person in the Void God realm, it had been a very, very long time since Supreme Shintian had been injured. This time, he was so angry that he was going crazy. He only wanted to kill people to vent his anger. No matter who schemed against this god swears that I will burn your bones to ashes and exterminate your entire family. Supreme Shintian swore in his heart. Break. Supreme Shintian didn't waste any more time and directly attacked the chaotic space, shattering it one by one. He quickly shuttled through the cave of death, looking for the person who had plotted against him. Supreme Divine Heaven relied on its absolute strength to continuously traverse through space and slowly found its way into the death cave. It discovered the invincible divine statue that the spirit tribe had left in the death cave. Remnant soul. Sensing the remnant soul in the statue, the furious Tai Shintian reached out his hand and shattered the invincible god statue. He wanted to imprison the remnant soul in the statue. However, Spirit Grand Ancestor was prepared for this. The moment the remnant soul was imprisoned, it immediately exploded, making it impossible for Supreme Divine Heaven to learn the secrets of this place through the remnant soul. Junior, how many gods' hearts have you refined? Supreme Divine Heaven sent a message to the death cave, forcing Spirit Grand Ancestor to wake up Yi Chunfeng, who was doing his best to refine the gods' hearts. I should have refined 1/3 of the gods' hearts. Yi Chunfeng opened his tightly shut eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Junior, Supreme Divine Heaven's strength has exceeded my imagination. I can't let you take the risk and stay here. Knowing that Yi Chunfeng had refined 1/3 of the gods' hearts, Spirit Grand Ancestor was slightly relieved. He took out a jade box with many seals and handed it to Yi Chunfeng. This jade box seals the map of the Tomb of Massacre. I will send you to the edge of the Tomb of Massacre in a while. That's right, Junior. I still don't know your name. Senior Yi Chunfeng. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. This Junior guarantees that he will do his best to exterminate those ambitious people of the celestial race and take revenge for the celestial race and the spirit race. He will return the stability of the universe. Kneeling on the ground, Yi Chunfeng respectfully kowtowed 3 times to Spirit Taizu, who was prepared to die, and promised, Master, I'll help you. Good. I believe you have the ability. Spirit Grand Ancestor nodded and said with relief. He supported Yi Chunfeng with both hands and brought him back to the Divine Spirit Pagoda. Qingfeng, this Divine Spirit Pagoda was my strongest treasure back then. Now I will give it to you. With a thought, Spirit Grand Ancestor controlled the Divine Spirit Pagoda to shrink infinitely and gave it to Yi Chunfeng. Alright, time is of the essence. You can take the 2 of them with you, but because of the seals I placed here, one of them can only leave with your soul. Spirit Grand Ancestor said. So speaking, Spirit Grand Ancestor activated the teleportation array in the depths of the death cave. Qingfeng, I really like this body of mine. Can you make that little girl give up her physical body? If you're willing, I'll definitely repay you with everything I have. Zilin purposely grabbed Yi Chunfeng's arm and rubbed her plump breasts as she spoke seductively. If you can't bear to part with your physical body, then leave it here. Yi Chunfeng glanced coldly at Zilin, unmoved. Mu Linger, let's go. You, hearing Yi Chenfeng's heartless words made Zi Lin grit her teeth, but there was nothing she could do. After much hesitation, she was forced to give up her burning body and entrust her soul to Yi Chenfeng to leave with him. Qingfeng, the Void God realm is far more complicated than you think. Don't believe what you see with your eyes. Sometimes they can deceive you. Spirit Grand Ancestor warned before activating the teleportation array to send Yi Chenfeng, Mu Linger, and Zi Ling's souls away. Supreme Shintian, it's about time we put an end to this. Supreme Shintian was one of the masterminds behind the destruction of the God and Spirit clans. Although Spirit Grand Ancestor knew he couldn't kill him with his own strength, he wanted to give Supreme Shintian an unforgettable memory before his death and teach him a painful lesson. Death Cave restrictions open. Spirit Grand Ancestor activated all of the restrictions in the Death Cave and let the furious Supreme Shintian in. Once the restrictions were closed, Supreme Shintian easily locked onto Spirit Grand Ancestor and teleported in like a streak of light. Who are you? Looking at the white-haired Spirit Ancestor, whose face was covered in wrinkles and black death spots, Supreme Shintian vaguely felt that he was somewhat familiar. But Spirit Grand Ancestor was so old that Supreme Shintian didn't recognize him immediately. I am Tai Lingxing. Do you still remember me? Spirit Grand Ancestor clasped his hands behind his back as he looked at Supreme Shintian indifferently. He didn't fear his impending death. Tai Lingxing, you didn't die and hid here. Although Supreme Shintian didn't recognize the old Spirit Grand Ancestor, he recognized Tai Lingxing and revealed a look of surprise. Supreme Shintian, do you want me to die so badly? Spirit Grand Ancestor said mildly. All right, since we used to know each other, I will fulfill your wish. So speaking, Spirit Grand Ancestor took a step forward. Large amounts of array markings appeared beneath his feet, causing the entire Death Cave to change drastically. You're crazy! Supreme Shintian didn't expect Spirit Grand Ancestor to detonate the entire Death Cave. His expression changed. Ha ha ha, Supreme Shintian, you're afraid too? Spirit Grand Ancestor laughed maniacally. Supreme Shintian, I hope you'll be satisfied with the gift I give you before I die. Death Cave Explode. Chapter 1964. Darkness, Boundless Darkness. After an unknown amount of teleportation, Yi Chenfeng, Mu Linger, and Zi Lin's souls arrived in a pitch-black forest. So that's the Tomb of Slaughter? After exiting the teleportation array hidden in the depths of the forest, the powerful God-Eater brain sensed a mysterious space outside. It was this mysterious space that swallowed up all light and turned this place into a world of darkness. Come, let's talk inside the universe realm. So speaking, Yi Chenfeng sent Mu Linger and Zi Lin into the universe realm. Time flows 30 times faster. You actually have such a high-level spatial treasure. Zi Lin's eyes lit up when she sensed the flow of time in the 5th level of the universe realm. Zi Lin, I have something to say to Mu Linger. Go cultivate on one side. If there's a chance in the future, I'll find you a perfect body. Yi Chenfeng couldn't wait to get the otherverse ability from Mu Linger, so he sent Zi Lin away on purpose. What, you two have an affair? Why are you being so secretive? Zi Lin floated in the air with a pout. Zi Lin, you speak too much nonsense. If you keep blabbering, I don't mind suppressing you. Yi Chenfeng didn't have a good impression of Zi Lin and warned her coldly. Humph, there's adultery. Hearing Yi Chenfeng's warning, Zi Lin turned docile and gave a cold snort before walking away. Mu Linger, can you fulfill your promise now and teach me the otherverse ability? Yi Chenfeng controlled the universe realm energy to seal off the entire space as he looked at Mu Linger's delicate face. Big brother Yi, sit tight. I'll teach you the ability of our universe right now. Mu Linger nodded. Your universe. Mu Linger's words confirmed Yi Chenfeng's suspicions. Mu Linger really did come from the otherverse. Big brother Yi, What I'm going to teach you is the Dharma idol divine art. In our universe, it's the highest level of divine art. If you can comprehend it, you can turn your own natal treasure into a Dharma idol. Mu Linger explained in detail. The ability to turn one's life treasure into a Dharma idol. Yi Qinfeng's eyebrows arched, creating waves of emotions. His life treasure was the primal chaos divine wood. If he could turn it into a Dharma idol, it'd be his most lethal weapon. Both its power and potential would surpass the original Tao fetus. Big Brother Yi, concentrate. I'm going to teach you now. So speaking, Mu Linger extended a white finger and tapped Yi Qinfeng's forehead. A powerful wave of soul energy passed through her finger and into Yi Qinfeng's mind. About 2 hours later, Mu Linger finished teaching the complete set of Dharma idol techniques to Yi Qinfeng. Mu Linger, thank you. This Dharma idol ability is very important to me. After briefly browsing through the Transcendence technique, Yi Qinfeng's heart was filled with excitement as he said gratefully, this is our agreement. Since you helped me, I naturally have to fulfill my end of the bargain. Mu Linger revealed 2 adorable dimples as she grinned. That's right, Mu Linger, where will you go from now on? If you don't have a place to go, why don't you stay by my side? Yi Qinfeng wanted to keep the mysterious Mu Linger by his side. Alright, but Big Brother Yi, can you help me find a place in the future? I want to go to that place to take the test mark left behind by the ancestors. Mu Linger nodded. Where? Yi Qinfeng asked. That place seems to be called the Primordial Chaos Tomb. Mu Linger said after some thought. The Primordial Chaos Tomb. Yi Qinfeng's eyes widened as he gaped. Could it be that the Primordial Chaos Tomb comes from a different dimension too? Yi Qinfeng suddenly had a bold idea. No problem. I know the general location of the Primordial Chaos Tomb and am preparing to head there when the time is right. If you want to go there, we can travel together. The Primordial Chaos Tomb was the most mysterious tomb in the Void God realm. Although Tai had given him a map of the outskirts, Yi Qinfeng knew that it was as hard as ascending to heaven to take the primordial chaos heart away. But Yi Qinfeng never expected Mu Linger to be related to the primordial chaos tomb as well. If he had her help, he might be able to greatly increase his chances of obtaining the primordial chaos tomb. Alright, Mu Linger. Just stay here and cultivate for the time being. If you need anything, find Big Sis Xia. She'll take good care of you. Yi Qinfeng brought Mu Linger to Xia Wendy, who was currently cultivating, and transmitted a message to her about Mu Linger's origins. Don't worry, Qingfeng. I'll take good care of Linger. Xia Wendy was very fond of the cute and delicate Mu Linger, so she gently stroked her head as she spoke. After settling Mu Linger down, Yi Qinfeng found a quiet place to cultivate. He cleared away all distracting thoughts and continued to refine the God Spirit heart. At the same time, he tried to cultivate his Dharma idol and turn the primordial chaos wood into his own Dharma idol. 1 day in the outside world was 30 days in the Qiankuan realm. Very soon, Yi Qinfeng had cultivated for 90 years in the Qiankuan realm. That was 3 years in the outside world. Supreme Divine Heaven had suffered a great loss in the Death Cave and suffered severe injuries. When he returned to the Divine Heaven clan, he immediately went into closed-door cultivation to treat his wounds and shelved the Celestial clan's plans to invade the other clans. Meanwhile, Yi Qinfeng had fused perfectly with the God Spirit heart during these 90 years. Using its massive energy, he broke through to the peak of 4-star Tao Ancestor realm in one fell swoop. If he wasn't afraid that continuous breakthroughs would cause his cultivation foundation to become unstable and affect his breakthrough to the Void Spirit realm, the energy in the God Spirit heart would have been enough for him to break through to the 5-star Tao Ancestor realm. Although he didn't break through, Yi Qinfeng experienced the strength of the God Spirit heart. Fusing with the God Spirit heart in battle could instantly increase his cultivation level by 1 level. Add that to the primordial chaos bloodline, and he could unleash the strength of a peak 6-star Tao ancestor even without using the life spirit art to burn his lifespan. Despite breaking through, Yi Chunfeng's Dharma idol cultivation had stagnated. He couldn't condense a Dharma idol, so he had no choice but to ask Mu Linger for help. Linger, do you know why I can't condense the primordial chaos wood into a Dharma idol? Yi Chunfeng asked with furrowed brows. Big brother Yi, don't worry. I see no problems with your Dharma idol cultivation, but you can't break through. It should be because your natal treasure is too powerful, making it more difficult to condense. That's why you can't succeed. Mu Linger propped up her chin with one hand and thought for a while. Then she said, you should be patient and continue condensing it. I think that once you succeed, your Dharma idol will be unprecedentedly strong. Alright, then I'll patiently condense it for a while longer. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and continued to immerse himself in the process of condensing the primordial chaos wood according to the formula. Very quickly, 5 years passed in the outside world, while 150 years passed in the cosmos realm. Primordial chaos idol, condense. During these 150 years, Yi Chunfeng endured the loneliness and persevered. Finally, he condensed the primordial chaos divine wood into a Dharma idol that looked very similar to himself. However, the Dharma idol far surpassed Yi Chunfeng in terms of strength, and physical strength. Half-step void spirit realm. When the primordial chaos idol broke out of Yi Chunfeng's body, a terrifying aura emanated from his body. Sensing this aura, Yi Chunfeng was certain that his Dharma idol had the battle prowess of a half-step void spirit realm cultivator. P.S. That's it, I'll be posting pictures of Mu Linger and Zilin in the morning. Those who want to see can come to Yunlei's official WeChat account. Just search Yunlei Tianyu. And please keep clicking on the ads. Thank you. Chapter 1965. Big Brother Yi, congratulations on forming your Dharma idol. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's Dharma idol, Mu Linger ran over happily. Try fusing with your Dharma idol and see the effect. Alright. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Chaos Dharma idol fuse. Under Yi Chunfeng's telepathic communication, Yi Chunfeng fused with the Dharma idol. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's strength rose steadily until he had the battle strength of a half-step void god. With the help of the primordial blood and the god spirit heart, he could fight with a low-level void god. With the help of the divine sword devouring heaven, he could even kill a low-level void god. Dharma idol divine ability is truly heaven-defying. Feeling his own soaring battle strength, Yi Chunfeng revealed a satisfied smile. With my current battle strength, I should be able to open the last level of the universe realm. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng came to the edge of the 5th level of the universe realm and tried to break through the last spatial restriction. Boom! Yi Chunfeng fused with the Dharma idol. His battle strength was too terrifying. In an instant, he broke through the last spatial restriction and entered the core space of the universe realm. Time flows 50 times faster. After entering the core space of the universe realm, Yi Chunfeng discovered that the flow of time here was 50 times faster than the outside world. The immortal qi was in a liquid state and flowed in the space like water. That's Yi Chunfeng scanned the small core space of the universe realm and discovered a 3 zhang tall, milky white divine tree without any leaves. It had long withered. Beneath the divine tree sat an old man who had already lost all signs of life. This is the divine tree of time. Looking at the milky white divine tree, the god-devouring brain quickly deduced the origins of this divine tree. It was one of the 3 great divine trees of the universe, the divine tree of time, which contained the mysterious laws of time. The fact that the universe realm can speed up time is related to this divine tree of time. Yi Chunfeng had originally guessed that there was most likely a divine wood of time within the universe realm. Otherwise, the universe realm would not be able to accelerate the flow of time so abnormally fast. However, the divine wood of time and the old man had already died, which greatly affected its value. However, if he studied it for a while, there was still a chance that he could comprehend the laws of time contained within the divine wood of time. This old man should be the Heaven clan's heaven and earth ancestor. Thinking of the information Long Xiaotian had told him, Yi Chunfeng guessed the identity of the heaven and earth ancestor. Yi Chunfeng was not interested in his death. However, when Yi Chunfeng stared at his physical body, he discovered that his physical body was very strong and contained powerful will of Tao. Ancestor of the universe, I wonder if Zi Lin will like this body. The corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a strange smile. Wang, wang, wang. When Yi Chunfeng's finger touched the heaven and earth ancestor's body, his eyes closed tightly. The heaven and earth ancestor, who should have been dead, suddenly opened his eyes. A powerful soul energy shot out from his eyes and surged into Yi Chunfeng's soul sea. A soul that hasn't dissipated yet. Facing the sudden attack of the heaven and earth ancestor's soul sea, Yi Chunfeng did not panic. He controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly devour the soul. In an instant, the heaven and earth ancestor's soul was devoured by the God-Eater brain. After losing his soul, the heaven and earth ancestor closed his eyes and no longer had a trace of life. I wonder what else is in the core space of the universe realm. After exterminating the cosmos ancestor's lingering soul, Yi Chunfeng scanned the entire core space of the cosmos realm. He discovered that there were many precious holy objects of heaven and earth here. However, as his strength increased, these holy objects of heaven and earth were no longer of much value to him. And this is Broken Weapon, Chaos Stone. After sensing the core space of the universe realm, Yi Chunfeng discovered that not far from the divine wood of time, there was a huge broken divine saber and a huge chaos stone beside it. From the aura of the divine saber, it should be a supreme-grade ancestral artifact. It seems like this divine saber should be the heaven and earth ancestor's weapon. He originally wanted to use the chaos stone to repair the divine saber, but because of his heavy injuries, he died in the end. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself as he put away the broken divine saber and chaos stone, preparing to repair it and give it to the chaos divine beast. Zi Lin, come here. Sensing that there was nothing valuable in the core space of the universe realm, Yi Chunfeng summoned Zi Lin, who was living on a rebirth tree, into the core space of the universe realm. 50 times faster time flow. Yi Chunfeng, what kind of spatial treasure is this? Zi Lin asked with a burning gaze. Zi Lin, you talk too much nonsense. Yi Chunfeng said coldly, come, I've already found a perfect body for you, but whether you want it or not is your business. Perfect body, it's him. Following Yi Chunfeng's finger, Zi Lin saw the heaven and earth ancestor's physical body and was instantly stunned. Big brother, you're not joking, right? The body you found for me is an old man. Yes, it's this old man. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, his strength should have reached the peak of 6-star ancestor realm when he was alive, and his physical body contains the will of the great path. If you can refine it, you can recover your peak strength in a short time and even have a chance to step into the half-step virtual god realm. But I'm a woman. Zi Lin really could not accept the fact that she had become an old man. You don't have to think of yourself as a woman, Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. All right, I've already found a physical body for you. Whether you want it or not is your business. Yi Chunfeng looked at the hesitant Zi Lin and said, can you still find me another physical body? Zi Lin stared at the heaven and earth ancestor's old face, and the more she looked, the more uncomfortable she felt. All right, if you really can't accept it, then forget it, but you have to know how difficult it is to find a female peak ancestor realm physical body. Moreover, I've already found a suitable physical body for you, but you can't accept it, so even if I can't find one in the future, I won't be breaking the contract. Yi Chunfeng shrugged. But, Zi Lin, you have to be clear, what are you pursuing? Is it beauty or supreme great path? Yi Chunfeng interrupted Zilin. When you step into the virtual god realm one day, you won't have to worry about not finding a perfect physical body or a spiritual item that can reconstruct a virtual god physical body. Alright, I'll accept the physical body you found for me. Yi Chunfeng's words completely moved Zilin. She gritted her teeth and finally made up her mind. Alright, don't be sad. In the future, you'll know how right your choice today is. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, Also, aren't you interested in men? Now that you've become a man, you can do whatever you want. Big brother. This is an old man, Zilin said sullenly. What's wrong with being an old man? An old man is also a man. Looking at the depressed Zilin, Yi Chunfeng's smile grew wider. Zilin was so angry at Yi Chunfeng that her entire body trembled. She ignored him and directly entered the heaven and earth ancestors' soul sea to reincarnate. Zilin's soul was incomparably powerful, and she quickly took control of the heaven and earth ancestors' physical body. However, when she borrowed the heaven and earth ancestors' physical body to reincarnate, she cried miserably. Zilin, who was confident in her charm, became an old man. Chapter 1966. The Tomb of Massacre was one of the 3 great tombs in the universe. When the Tomb of Massacre appeared in the Void God world, it alarmed the various races in the Void God world. They worked together to borrow the Void God artifact to forcefully break through the restrictions of the Tomb of Massacre. They entered the Tomb of Massacre and divided the unparalleled opportunities in the Tomb of Massacre. However, according to the Tomb of Massacre map that Ling Taizu gave to Yi Chunfeng, there was a mysterious tomb within the Tomb of Massacre. The tomb within the tomb was hidden very deeply, and it was very likely that it had not been discovered by the various races. I hope the tomb within the tomb is still there. Yi Chunfeng flew in the dark space like a ghost. He approached the entrance of the Tomb of Massacre and prepared to sneak in. Who is it? When Yi Chunfeng approached the Tomb of Massacre, he triggered the restrictions at the entrance of the Tomb of Massacre and alarmed more than 10 Sky Race experts guarding the entrance. Primitive Tao Fetus, kill. When his whereabouts were discovered, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned his 6-star Primitive Tao Fetus and his ancestral sword soul to kill more than 10 Sky Race experts. The Sky Race experts guarding the entrance of the Tomb of Massacre had extraordinary strength. 2 of them were even 3-star heavenly ancestors. However, compared to Yi Chunfeng and the Primitive Tao Fetus, there was still a huge gap in strength. Under the frenzied slaughter of Yi Chunfeng and the Primitive Tao Fetus, more than 10 Sky Race experts were instantly killed by the 2 of them. They turned into clouds of blood mist and scattered with the wind. Godless sword, break! After killing more than 10 celestial race powerhouses at lightning speed, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled his ancestral sword spirit to transform into a black divine sword. With an indomitable will, he pierced through the seal at the entrance of the Tomb of Slaughter and entered the Tomb of Slaughter. What a dense death aura! After entering the Tomb of Massacre, Yi Chunfeng immediately felt that the Tomb of Massacre was filled with a large amount of death aura. However, because the Tomb of Massacre was penetrated by the various races using their Void God artifacts, there was not much danger. Yi Chunfeng shuttled through the Tomb of Massacre at an extremely fast speed and flew towards the tomb within the tomb marked on the map. Yes, there's someone. Yi Chunfeng flew rapidly in the Tomb of Slaughter for more than 2 hours. When he passed by a rapidly flowing black river, he sensed a powerful aura within the black river. And this aura was so strong that it reached the peak of the 5-star ancestor realm. Interesting, I didn't expect you to have the ability to enter this place when the outside is sealed. A large number of bubbles emerged from the black river. A skinny old man in a black robe with messy hair emerged from the black river. He stared at Yi Chunfeng with glowing eyes and said, "Don't worry, Yi Chunfeng. 5-star devil ancestor." Yi Chunfeng immediately guessed the black-robed old man's identity when he sensed the thick demonic aura emanating from his body. "Human Junior, you shouldn't have come to this place. 5-star devil ancestor ferociously said. If you come here, you won't be able to leave alive. You! After breaking through to the 4-star ancestor realm, Yi Chunfeng's fleshly body had exceeded 900 billion gene. Just by relying on his powerful fleshly body, he could kill a 5-star ancestor realm expert. Boom! With a single punch, the space within the tomb of massacre exploded. A terrifying fist light, carrying with it a suffocating strength, bombarded the 5-star devil ancestor. Black River, destroy. Sensing the power of Yi Chunfeng's punch, 5-star devil ancestor's complexion changed slightly. He immediately mobilized the power of the Black River to resist, breaking apart Yi Chunfeng's punch. I didn't expect you to be able to refine this Black River. Sensing that the Black River had fused with 5-star devil ancestor, Yi Chunfeng guessed that the Black River should be a treasure. Limitless chaos. Although the Black River was powerful, it could not threaten Yi Chunfeng. Surging primal chaos energy gushed out of Yi Chunfeng's body, quickly condensing into a towering primal chaos divine tree phantom behind him. With a single strike, the primal chaos energy and a force of 900 billion kilograms fused together with the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams, transforming into a limitless great Tao that blasted apart the Black River that was attacking like a black dragon, bombarding the 5-star fiend ancestor. Puff! Although the Black River had neutralized the majority of the limitless chaos attack, the terrifying aftershock still heavily injured 5-star devil ancestor, sending him flying. His withered body was nearly blown apart. Experiencing the terror of Yi Chunfeng, 5-star devil ancestor became timid. Without thinking, he quickly fled into the tomb of slaughter. Whoosh! 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 Yi Chunfeng summoned his undying wings and chased after the fleeing 5-star devil ancestor at an extremely fast speed. In just 10 breaths of time, he caught up and continued to launch a ferocious attack. Bone Dragon, appear! The severely injured 5-star devil ancestor simply could not resist Yi Chunfeng's ferocious attack. He quickly summoned a massive and ferocious bone dragon to fight against Yi Chunfeng. Ghost Race Divine Ability. Seeing the 5-star devil ancestor summon a ghost dragon, Yi Chunfeng did not reduce his speed and crashed into it. The collision with nearly a trillion gene of strength directly shattered the several thousand meters long ghost dragon. Ancestor-level sword soul, exterminate. After shattering the ghost dragon, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of the panicking 5-star devil ancestor as if he had teleported. He summoned an ancestor-level sword soul and slashed at him. A sword broke through his defense and cleaved him in half, killing him on the spot. After killing the 5-star devil ancestor, Yi Chunfeng collected his remains and continued to fly into the tomb of slaughter. Not long after flying, he encountered the attack of a similarly terrifying heavenly ancestor. After fusing with the Heart of God and breaking through to the 4-star Tao ancestor realm, Yi Chunfeng's combat strength was too terrifying. In less than 10 breaths of time, he killed a 5-star heavenly ancestor. I never thought that this tomb of slaughter would actually be invaded by the celestial race and the demon race. As he went deeper, Yi Chunfeng constantly encountered experts from the celestial race and the demon race, engaging in fierce battles with them in the tomb of slaughter. Restriction Stone. About 3 days later, the frenzied Yi Chunfeng arrived at the depths of the tomb of slaughter. According to the map, he found an ordinary boulder, and this boulder was the first entrance to the tomb within a tomb. Ancestor-level sword soul, break. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng controlled the ancestor-level sword soul to attack with all its might, tearing apart the restriction of the restriction stone and entering inside. Footprints. Why are there footprints here? Could it be that someone entered here before me? After entering the space of the restriction stone, Yi Chunfeng unexpectedly discovered a shallow footprint, and his brows furrowed. I hope the tomb within a tomb hasn't been discovered by anyone. Although Yi Chunfeng wasn't sure what treasures were in the tomb within a tomb, He felt that the opportunities in the tomb within a tomb would not be worse than those in the tomb of slaughter. Yi Chunfeng took out the map, identified the direction, and flew towards the second entrance of the tomb within a tomb. The tomb of slaughter hid a large number of celestial race and demon race supreme experts, but the tomb within a tomb was very quiet, and there were no foreign supreme experts. However, as the distance between them increased, Yi Chunfeng encountered a number of unpredictable and bizarre attacks from the ghost. God-Eater Brain, Devour. Facing a large number of ghostly attacks, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned the God-Eater Brain and controlled it to devour the ghostly attack. Soon, Yi Chunfeng found the second entrance of the tomb within a tomb, tore apart the restriction, and entered deeper into the tomb of slaughter. There are still footprints. When he entered the second layer of the tomb, Yi Chunfeng discovered a set of shallow footprints. It seems that someone really came here before me, Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself, and from the footprints, that person should have just arrived and is still here. Feeling that someone was searching for the tomb within a tomb like him, Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but be cautious. He controlled the God-Eater Brain to quickly deduce and carefully advance. Chapter 1967. Skeletons. There are so many skeletons of Ba. After entering the dim and eerie tomb within the tomb, Yi Chunfeng realized that there were many skeletons of Ba, the king of zombies, scattered around the tomb. Judging from the traces left behind by the skeletons, the Ba had not been dead for long. It seems like the person is in the tomb within the tomb. Yi Chunfeng's face grew even more solemn. If the person in the tomb was an empty god like Supreme Emperor Heaven, Yi Chunfeng would not be able to fight against him even if he cultivated the chaotic Dharma. However, after observing the skeletons of the Ba, Yi Chunfeng felt that the person who had entered the tomb within the tomb might not be an empty god. With the strength of an empty god and the power of a territory, the Ba's skeletons would not have been left behind. They would have been crushed instantly. I hope I'm right. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. Yi Chunfeng suppressed the hesitation in his heart and continued forward carefully. After a while, he suddenly stopped and summoned the Space Swallower. Space Swallower, quickly carve out a passage for me to leave the tomb of slaughter. Yi Chunfeng did not know what kind of danger was waiting for him in the tomb within the tomb. To be safe, he left the primitive embryo of Tao and the Space Swallower behind to make a path out of the tomb within the tomb to prevent any accident. After instructing the primitive embryo of Tao to protect the Space Swallower, Yi Chunfeng continued to move forward carefully. Roar! Roar! He didn't know how long he had been walking, but suddenly, angry dragon roars entered his ears. The terrifying sound shook the tomb, and the death energy in the tomb rolled violently like a tsunami. Half step to empty god. Hearing the dragon's roar, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the God-Eater Brain to deduce the situation. He extended his brain and sensed a half-step to empty god's aura fighting against a Een dragon that was as strong as a half-step to empty god. It's a half-step to empty god, not an empty god. Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief, completely relieved. The chaotic Dharma that he had cultivated could even fight a low-level empty god, let alone a half-step to empty god. Knowing the strength of the enemy, he was completely relieved. However, he didn't want to alert the enemy. Instead, he used the Mirage blood to conceal his aura and hid in the dark. He watched from afar, preparing to reap the benefits. Ascension-breaking sword. The half-step void god covered in a black robe suddenly formed thousands of feather swords and attacked a Een dragon that was almost 10,000 meters long. It was covered in scales the size of water tanks and had a pair of coral dragon horns on its head. It was emitting a terrifying Een chi. Chi chi chi. Under the attack of the half-step virtual god's featherbreak sword, the scales on the Een dragon's body were immediately shattered. The immense pain enraged the terrifying Een dragon, causing it to attack the half-step virtual god madly. Although both of them were at half-step virtual god level, The Een Dragon could continuously absorb the death force in the tomb within the tomb to increase its combat strength. Under its frenzied attacks, the half-step virtual god's attacks were constantly suppressed, and the half-step virtual god was forced to retreat continuously. Ascension Breaking Sword, it's someone from Ascension Palace. Yi Chunfeng raised his brows, revealing a surprised expression. It was not a divine tribe or devil tribe almighty who found the tomb within the tomb, but an almighty from Ascension Palace. Who exactly is this person? Yi Chunfeng kept guessing in his heart as he looked at the figure shrouded in a black robe and enshrouded in a layer of peculiar energy. He couldn't see through it. Could it be her? Suddenly, a person appeared in Yi Chunfeng's mind. God-Eater Brain, deduce quickly. In order to figure out the half-step virtual god's identity, Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater Brain to deduce quickly, attempting to penetrate the energy shield around the half-step virtual god. However, the energy shield was very peculiar. The God-Eater Brain could not penetrate it even when it tried its best. Yi Chunfeng had no choice but to give up. At that moment, the half-step virtual god, whose attacks were suppressed, suddenly changed her tactic. Beams of glaring white light shone from her body. Ascension Void. The half-step virtual god deduced several ancestral-level Tao intents to the maximum, turning them into a ball of light formed by countless light feathers. When the ferocious Een Dragon crashed into the ball of light aggressively, countless light feathers shot out, transforming into thousands of illusions, attacking the Een Dragon at close range. Roar! 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 The Een Dragon's gigantic body was riddled with holes after being attacked by the half-step virtual god's Ascension Void. A large amount of silvery white blood flowed out like a waterfall. Light Territory. After injuring the Een Dragon with Ascension Void, the half-step virtual god followed up with another attack. She opened up a powerful light territory and launched a fatal attack on the Een Dragon. Human, I'm going to kill you. Under the attack of the light territory, the Een Dragon's injuries continued to worsen. In anger, the Een Dragon opened its bloody mouth and spat out the source of its power, the Een Dragon Pearl. It tore through the light territory and attacked the half-step virtual god at close range. Poof! Under the powerful attack of the Een Dragon Pearl, the half-step virtual god's body defense was shattered. She fell from the sky like a kite with a broken string, leaving behind a cloud of blood mist. Die! After spitting out the Een Dragon Pearl and severely injuring the half-step virtual god, the Een Dragon glared with its blood-red eyes and continued to launch a ferocious attack. It was determined to tear the half-step virtual god apart. Triple Life Force Destroy. At the critical moment, the half-step virtual god summoned a dazzling stone that contained terrifying energy and attacked the Een Dragon, neutralizing its attack. Triple Life Baby Stone. This is Yu Yeming's Triple Life Baby Stone. It's really her. Looking at the Triple Life Baby Stone summoned by the half-step virtual god, Yi Chunfeng immediately recognized that it was the Triple Life Baby Stone that belonged to Yu Yeming. He could basically confirm the half-step virtual god's identity. How did she find this place? Yi Chunfeng mumbled to himself. After confirming that the half-step virtual god before him was the Feather Moon Saintess from Feather Palace, Yi Chunfeng was ready to help. Just then, the Een Dragon that was severely injured by the Triple Life Baby Stone went berserk again. It burned the Een Dragon Pearl and forcefully tore apart the Triple Life Force that was reflected by the Triple Life Baby Stone. It continued to launch deadly attacks at the Feather Moon Saintess. Poof! 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 Under the Een Dragon's frenzied attacks, the Feather Moon Saintess's injuries continued to worsen. The Triple Life Baby Stone that was fully focused on defense dimmed as well. Boom! The Triple Life Baby Stone collided with the Een Dragon Pearl that was completely burning. The terrifying impact knocked the Triple Life Baby Stone away. Oh no! The Feather Moon Saintess did not expect the Een Dragon before her to be so difficult to deal with. Her expression changed slightly, and she wanted to dodge it immediately. Roar! Roar! The dragon let out a terrifying roar that pierced through the clouds and into the feather moon saintess's soul. Her soul trembled. The next moment, the dragon pearl that had knocked away the triple life baby stone landed heavily on her body. The horrifying dragon power flooded into her body like a flood. It tore apart all her meridians and damaged her organs. It even cracked her saint core. Bang! The feather moon saintess spat out blood. She was knocked away by the dragon pearl. She crashed into many mounds and fell thousands of feet away in pain. She had lost all ability to fight back. Lowly human, you shall become a dead soul in my mouth. The dragon opened its bloody mouth and bit toward the heavily injured feather moon saintess who could not fight back. Just as the feather moon saintess fell into despair and her life was hanging by a thread, an invincible sword with godly light suddenly appeared. It tore apart the space and chopped toward the dragon's house-sized head. The dragon's head was its most defensive part. It was covered in layers of scales, and not even a top-quality ancestral artifact could break through its defenses. But this divine sword that had suddenly appeared had easily cut off its massive head. A large amount of blood gushed out like a fountain, dyeing the entire ground red. Then the invincible sword cut off the dragon's head. It then chopped toward its 10,000-meter-long body, cutting it in half and killing it on the spot. Dead. Chapter 1968. The light pierced into the feather moon saintess's eyes. Then she felt her mouth was opened. A sweet liquid flowed down her throat and into her body. Slowly, she woke up from her coma. Who saved me? The feather moon saintess opened her tired eyes slowly. Looking at the strange surroundings, she gradually regained consciousness. It's him. How could it be him? How could he be here? And how could he save me? When the feather moon saintess saw Yi Chunfeng, who was gazing at her in silence, she opened her beautiful eyes wide. She couldn't believe what had happened. A trace of panic appeared in her heart. Never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that Yi Chunfeng would be the one to save her life at the moment of her life and death. You're awake. Looking at the feather moon saintess who had woken up, Yi Chunfeng smiled faintly. For some reason, Yi Chunfeng looked at the face of the feather moon saintess and found it familiar. He even had an inexplicable feeling in his heart. But with the help of the God-eating brain, Yi Chunfeng felt that there was a layer of illusory light covering the face of the feather moon saintess, which concealed her real appearance. And the illusory light should have come from the 3 lives stone. Who is she? Why does she give me such a familiar feeling? It's like déjà vu. The more Yi Chunfeng looked at the feather moon saintess, the more familiar she looked. He tried to deduce with the help of the God-eating brain. He wanted to see through the illusory face of the feather moon saintess and see her real appearance. Sensing Yi Chunfeng's stare, the feather moon saintess started to feel nervous. She struggled to sit up, but found that her injuries were much more serious than she had thought. She had only moved a little, but she felt a pain in her heart. She felt as if her veins and organs were being torn apart. You're badly injured. You'd better not move. I will try my best to heal you. Looking at the feather moon saintess, who was bleeding from the corner of her mouth, Yi Chunfeng said with concern. He handed her a living holy grass and asked her to take it. Yi Chunfeng, why are you here? The feather moon saintess tried to calm herself down. She ate the living soul grass and stabilized her wounds. She looked at Yi Chunfeng in silence. I found this place by chance. Yi Chunfeng said vaguely. What about you? How did you get here? Like you, I found this place by accident. After that, the saintess of Feather Moon resumed her silence. She sat cross-legged on the ground and started to heal herself silently. Saintess, do we know each other? Yi Chunfeng suddenly asked as he looked at the Feather Moon Saintess. Yes. The aura of the Feather Moon Saintess fluctuated slightly. She couldn't help but lift the corner of her mouth. Aren't you the brother of my son, Yu Yeming? No, what I mean is, do we know each other? A long, long time ago. Yi Chunfeng felt the faint energy fluctuation from the Feather Moon Saintess confirmed his guess. He continued to ask, I don't know him. The Feather Moon Saintess shook her head and said firmly, Then can you listen to a story? Yi Chunfeng said after a few seconds of silence. After that, he told the story of how he met Yu Nikhang in the soul-fighting continent, how they got to know each other, and how they fell in love. My wife said that she would continue our relationship after I ascended to the Void God realm one day. Do you think she would lie to me? I don't know, the Feather Moon Saintess said after a long silence. Why, Nikhang, would you lie to me? Yi Chunfeng stared at the Feather Moon Saintess, who was a bit flustered, and asked loudly, Yi Chunfeng, did you get the wrong person? Who is Nikhang? The Feather Moon Saintess calmed down immediately. Her voice was cold and arrogant. Nikhang, you don't have to pretend anymore. I have seen through your real face. Yi Chunfeng finally saw through the Feather Moon Saintess' real face with the help of the God-eating brain. She was Yu Nikhang, the wife that Yi Chunfeng had been thinking about day and night. I told you that you got the wrong person. I am not Nikhang. The Feather Moon Saintess shook her head and said coldly, Nikhang, have you forgotten what I said? I have done what you said. Isn't that enough? Yi Chunfeng said loudly, clenching his fist. You should be asking your wife these questions, not me. The Feather Moon Saintess closed her eyes slowly and said emotionlessly, I am going to heal myself. I hope you will not disturb me. Nikhang, I don't know what you are worried about. Even if the sky falls, we will hold it together, Yi Chunfeng said while gritting his teeth. Silence, Nikhang. Do you know that I risked my life to find you in the Void God world? Silence. Nikhang, have you really forgotten me? Have you forgotten everything? Silence. No matter what Yi Chunfeng said, the Feather Moon Saintess, who was sitting cross-legged and healing herself, remained silent. While the Feather Moon Saintess was indifferent to Yi Chunfeng, she suddenly felt that Yi Chunfeng was pouncing on her. She opened her eyes wide and panicked. She instinctively wanted to resist. However, her injuries were too severe, so she couldn't struggle at all. Yi Chunfeng opened his arms and hugged her tightly. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng pushed the Feather Moon Saintess to the ground and kissed Yu Nichang's soft lip. Their lips touched. The Feather Moon Saintess' mind went blank. A familiar and domineering aura spread from her lips and attacked her heart. Feeling the heat from Yi Chunfeng's body and hearing his strong heartbeat, the Feather Moon Saintess' body tightened. She instinctively resisted. However, Yi Chunfeng hugged her too tightly. The Feather Moon Saintess' breasts were completely deformed. She even had difficulty breathing. She could not get rid of Yi Chunfeng's arms. As Yi Chunfeng kissed her harder and harder, the seal in the Feather Moon Saintess' mind was broken bit by bit. A large amount of sealed memories poured into her mind. Her resistance became weaker and weaker. Her body was melted by Yi Chunfeng's domineering aura. When the Feather Moon Saintess felt that she was going to melt and suffocate, Yi Chunfeng stopped the strong kiss and helped her up from the ground. Nikhang, do you remember me? Looking at the Feather Moon Saintess, whose face was blushing and whose eyes were getting softer and softer, Yi Chunfeng looked into her eyes and asked, Chunfeng, do you know that if we meet again, you might die? The seal in the Feather Moon Saintess' mind was broken. She could no longer control her emotions. She said while biting her wet lip, I told you. Even if the sky falls, we will hold it together. No one and nothing can stop us from being together. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said domineeringly, Are you sure? The Feather Moon Saintess kept making a decision. If you lose me, you may have more. No. If I lose you, I lose everything. Even if I have the whole universe, it will be meaningless. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said resolutely, Chunfeng, kiss me. Yi Chunfeng's domineering and warm words melted the Feather Moon Saintess completely. She threw away all her worries. She reached out her soft and slender arms to Yi Chunfeng's neck and kissed him. Hugging each other tightly, the two of them kissed again. Chapter 1969. Come, Nikhang. Take this. It's good for your injuries. Yi Chunfeng took out an incomparably precious Life Origin Spirit Pearl and handed it to Yu Nikhang. Life Origin Spirit Pearl. Yu Nikhang was someone who knew what was good for her. Her eyes immediately lit up. Although her injuries were serious and had damaged her foundation, the Life Origin Spirit Pearl could still heal her injuries. She did not stand on ceremony with Yi Chunfeng. She raised her head and swallowed the Life Origin Spirit Pearl into her stomach. She quickly refined it, healing her injuries and repairing her broken meridians. About a day later, Yu Nichang's injuries recovered at an extremely fast speed under the Life Origin Spirit Pearl's healing. Her broken meridians also gradually healed. Seeing Yu Nikhang gradually recover, Yi Chunfeng's hanging heart calmed down. However, there was still one thing that pressed down on his heart like a stone. The exceptionally intelligent Yu Nikhang looked at Yi Chunfeng, who seemed to want to say something but hesitated, and said with a smile, "Chingfeng, do you have something to ask me?" Facing Yu Nichang's crescent-shaped eyes, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and asked, "Nikhang, I want to know if Yu Yeming is our child." "Isn't Yu Yeming your brother?" Yu Nichang's smile grew even wider. "I remember that someone dragged Ming to find me and said that they wanted to become sworn brothers. At that time, I really should have agreed." Hearing Yu Nichang's witty words and looking at her charming face, Yi Chunfeng confirmed his guess. He was speechless. To call his son brother and even want to become sworn brothers, he was probably the first person in the Void God world to do this. "Fortunately, you stopped it back then. Otherwise, it would have really become a joke," Yi Chunfeng said with lingering fear. The more he thought about this matter, the more his head hurt. How are you going to thank me?" After accepting Yi Chunfeng again, Yu Nikhang no longer suppressed her emotions, and her tone became relaxed. "Can I thank you with my body?" A mischievous smile appeared on Yi Chunfeng's face as he pushed Moon Raiment to the ground. Amidst her panting, he took off her clothes. The two of them, who had been separated for more than 100 years, had forgotten the gloomy and terrifying environment around them. Up and down, up and down, up and down, they flirted with each other. The sounds of their breathing and collisions were endless. After entangling for a long time, the two who had climbed to the peak hugged each other and poured out their hearts. "By the way, Nikhang, are you having a bad time in the Yuhua Palace? Did Yu Huashan secretly join the sky race and become their lackey?" Yi Chunfeng said as he gently hugged Yu Nichang's soft and smooth body and stroked her long black hair. "After I was reborn, I did find that Yu Huashan had changed. He has become extremely shrewd, scary, and unpredictable." Yu Nikhang snuggled in Yi Chunfeng's arms and said, secretly, "He is indeed very close to the sky race. It is just as I guessed." Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself, "Nikhang, you just said that reuniting with me would harm me. Why is that?" "Because Yu Huashan wholeheartedly wants to have a marriage with the sky race and get close to this big tree. He wants to betroth me to the grandson of the supreme sky race, Tianjigu, who is half-step into the nihility god realm. But I have always been against it." Yu Nikhang said, "If he knows of your existence, he will definitely kill you." "Nikhang, how is Yu Huashan's strength?" Yi Chunfeng frowned and asked in a low voice. "Yu Huashan should have 1 foot in the middle stage of the nihility god realm, and he also has the 3 lives bronze coffin. The coffin is suppressing a nihility god realm zombie King Ba. Also, the 3 lives stone, the treasure of the Yuhua Palace that has been passed down for countless years, is in Yu Huashan's hands. With the help of the 3 lives stone, he definitely has the strength to fight with a middle-stage nihility god realm expert." Yu Nikhang continued to talk about Yu Huashan's situation. "Nikhang, how did you find this place?" Yi Chunfeng pondered for a while and continued to ask. "The tomb within the tomb in the Tomb of Massacre was calculated by Yu Huashan with the help of the 3 lives stone. Because he was in seclusion refining a treasure he brought back from the Tomb of Massacre, he had no time to spare, so he asked me to bring the 3 lives stone here." Yu Nikhang said. "The 3 lives stone." Yi Chenfeng slightly frowned and said, Nikhang, take out the 3 live stone and let me see. Qingfeng, you suspect that there is a problem with the 3 live stone? Yu Nikhang slightly raised her eyebrows and asked. Yes, if it is like what you said, Yu Huashan is very shrewd. He would definitely not let you come here alone. He must have a backup plan, and this backup plan is very likely to be hidden in the 3 live stone. Yi Chenfeng nodded and took the 3 live stone from Yu Nikhang. He controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly calculate and sense the situation of the 3 live stone. Under the God-Eater brain's probing, Yi Chenfeng felt a deeply hidden soul imprint in the 3 live stone. Indeed, I guessed right, this 3 live stone has a soul memory. Yi Chenfeng opened his tightly closed eyes and said, Nikhang, do you know what treasures are in this tomb? I don't know, Yu Huashan did not say, but this tomb of slaughter seems to be a tomb created by God. There must be a big secret hidden in this tomb. Yu Nikhang shook her head and said, Nikhang, since this Yu Huashan is not a good person, you should not work for him anymore. When we get the treasures in the tomb, you can find an excuse to take Yi Ming out, and we will all run away. Yi Chenfeng suggested. Run away. Yu Nikhang shook her head and said, Qingfeng, things are not as simple as you think. My life jade is in Yu Huashan's hands. If I leave Yu Huashan Palace, with his personality, he will definitely crush the life jade and take my life. Life jade. Yi Chenfeng's brows tightly knitted together. He knew that the life jade was a very advanced method to control one's life. Once the life jade was controlled, one's life would also be controlled. In order to break the restriction of the life jade, one must either take back the life jade, or have a strength stronger than Yu Huashan. Qingfeng, don't worry about me. I believe that our family will be together one day. Looking at Yi Chenfeng's increasingly gloomy face, Yu Nikhang gently held his big hand and said with a firm tone, Yes, my parents should be coming out of seclusion soon. When they come out, I will ask them to come with me to Yu Huashan Palace to propose marriage. If Yu Huashan dares to stop us, then don't blame me for not being polite to him. Yi Chenfeng's eyes revealed traces of fierceness as he said overbearingly, Your parents? Yu Nikhang asked with some surprise, Qingfeng, are your parents from the Void God world? Yes, I won't hide it from you. My father is Yi Wuji, my mother is Shen Yaotian. Yi Chenfeng nodded and said, What, you are the child of Wuji God and Yaotian God? Yu Nikhang opened her eyes wide and said in disbelief. In the recent opening of the ancient Road of Stars, Yi Wuji and Shen Yaotian were the 2 people who were in the limelight in the entire Void God world. Their strength was also at the top of the Void God world. Even the 2 clan leaders of the Sky race could not do anything to them at that time. Nikhang, now you know how powerful your husband is. Yi Chenfeng gently hugged Yu Nikhang in his arms and said, If Yu Huashan dares to hurt me, I will definitely destroy Yu Huashan Palace and scatter his soul. Let's go deeper into the tomb and see what kind of opportunities are hidden here. Yi Chenfeng suggested, Also, seal the 3 lives young stone as much as possible and don't use it again. Yes, I'll listen to you. Yu Nikhang did not expect Yi Chenfeng's background to be so deep. She was completely relieved and forcefully sealed the 3 lives young stone. She followed Yi Chenfeng into the tomb in search of great opportunities. Chapter 1970. Light. There's light up ahead. Yi Chenfeng and Yu Nikhang followed the map in their hands and rapidly advanced for more than 2 hours. Suddenly, they saw faint traces of light up ahead and immediately flew over. A mass of tombs. What a large mass of tombs. When they arrived at the light, Yi Chenfeng and Li Wuyo saw a huge group of tombs in front of them. The tombs were dark green in color and were majestically built, as if they were made by a celestial being. Right in front of the entrance of the tombs was a stone tablet that was more than 30 meters tall. It was carved with dark golden ancient patterns and flashed with light from time to time. In front of the stone tablet were 8 towering divine statues that held sharp spears and exuded a murderous aura. What terrifying killing intent! Sensing the killing intent from the 8 statues, Yi Chunfeng stepped forward and said, "Nikhang, wait for me here. Watch me break through these 8 statues." "Okay. Be careful." Yu Nikhang also wanted to know just how strong Yi Chunfeng was, so she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Yi Chunfeng on the cheek. "Relax. It's just 8 statues of slaughter. They pose no danger to me," Yi Chunfeng heroically declared as he looked at Yu Nikhang, who had taken the initiative to kiss him. Then, he began to walk towards the 8 statues of slaughter. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Sensing Yi Chunfeng's approach, the Tenjiang tall stone tablet engraved with dark golden ancient runes immediately became restless. Streams of light shot out from the golden ancient runes on the tablet, tearing through space. With an ear-piercing sound, it attacked Yi Chunfeng. Divine Essence Pagoda, suppress! Facing the sudden attack of the stone steel, Yi Chunfeng did not hesitate to summon the supreme-grade ancestral artifact Divine Spirit Pagoda. He controlled the Divine Spirit Pagoda to smash through the streaks of dark golden flowing light and suppressed the several hundred feet tall stone steel. Ka, ka, ka. Under the suppression of the Divine Essence Pagoda, the dark golden runes on the surface of the stone steel began to shatter. They were unable to form an attack against Yi Chunfeng. A top-grade ancestral artifact. Yu Nichang's eyes lit up when she sensed the terrifying aura coming from the Divine Spirit Tower. Trespassers of the Tomb of the God of Slaughter, die. After controlling the God Spirit Pagoda to suppress the stone tablet, Yi Chunfeng continued forward. At this time, the 8 massacre god statues guarding the tombs seemed to have come to life. Their obsidian-like eyes shone with endless killing intent as they spoke. Invincible sword body. Just as the statue of slaughter finished speaking, Yi Chunfeng took a step forward. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward. His primordial bloodline burned, and his invincible sword physique was activated. A beam of sword light shot out from Yi Chunfeng's body, turning into a crescent moon. Like a crescent moon, it slashed towards an awakened massacre god statue. Kacha! As Yi Chunfeng activated his invincible sword body and condensed a stream of sword light to attack, the massacre idol immediately cracked. The terrifying sword might gushed into his body, smashing his legs into the hard ground. Kill! 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 The massacre god statues let out ferocious cries as they held incomparably sharp spears in their hands. They surrounded Yi Chunfeng, wanting to kill Yi Chunfeng, who had trespassed here. Sword domain. The Tomb of Massacre was suspected to be related to the god. The 8 statues of Massacre contained what was suspected to be divine energy, and their battle prowess was extremely strong. Facing the siege of the 8 statues of Massacre, Yi Chunfeng immediately opened up his powerful sword domain, borrowing the power of the domain to deal with the statues of Massacre. Domain, a complete domain. Sensing the complete domain around Yi Chunfeng, Yu Nichang's beautiful eyes widened in shock. However, when she thought of Yi Chunfeng's parents, Yu Nikhang gradually relaxed. Like father, like son. With such powerful parents, Yi Chunfeng could not be mediocre. I can't believe the husband that I picked from the lower realm is so powerful. Yu Nikhang could not help but smile as she thought about it. Ancestor-level sword soul break. After controlling the sword domain to resolve the crisis, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned his ancestor-level sword soul. Combining the power of the sword domain, he slashed at one of the massacre god statues. Kacha! Under the attack of the ancestor-level sword soul, the massacre god statue broke immediately. However, the moment the massacre god statue broke, the divine power in its body suddenly shot out, attacking Yi Chunfeng at lightning speed. It wanted to pierce through Yi Chunfeng's body. Chaotic Dharma. At the critical moment, Yi Chunfeng summoned his half-step virtual god Chaotic Dharma to block in front of him, blocking the attack of the divine light. The Chaotic Dharma was an avatar that Yi Chunfeng had condensed using the chaotic divine wood. Its body was as tough as the primitive Taoist fetus. However, under the attack of the divine light, its chest was pierced. Devour! As the chaotic Dharma's body broke, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the chaotic energy in the Dharma to suppress the divine light. He then activated the strongest devouring ability of the Dharma to devour the divine light. While the chaotic Dharma was devouring the divine light, the 7 massacre god statues continued to attack at close range. Ancestral swords. Yi Chunfeng did not waste any time. He raised the power of his invincible sword body to the maximum, combining it with the sword domain and deducing the 4 ancestor-level Dao paintings. In an instant, tens of thousands of divine swords were formed in front of him. They flowed like a river of swords and attacked the massacre god statues that were approaching him. Crack, crack, crack. Under the attack of the 10,000 swords returned to origin, which was a combination of Yi Chunfeng's many trump cards, the massacre deity statues shattered one by one. Several beams of divine light shot out from their bodies and attacked Yi Chunfeng like flowing light. Chaotic Dharma continued to attack. As the 4 divine lights attacked, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the chaotic Dharma to block with all his might. He allowed the divine lights to pierce into his body. Chaotic energy, suppress with all your might. When the 4 beams of divine light were destroying the Chaos Dharma idol, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Dharma idol with all his might to suppress the 4 beams of divine light. Then, he continued to devour and merge them with the Chaos Dharma idol, increasing its battle prowess. Impressive. Chingfeng destroyed 5 massacre god statues in less than 10 breaths. His combat power is probably higher than mine. Seeing Yi Chunfeng shatter the massacre god statue, Yu Risang was shocked, but she was also touched. Although she didn't know how many dangers Yi Chunfeng had experienced in the past few years, she knew that for Yi Chunfeng to be able to step into the faux god realm in such a short period of time and possess such battle strength, he had definitely gone through a narrow escape. 3,000 transformation god fist break. When the primal chaos avatar was refining the 4 divine lights, Yi Chunfeng suddenly appeared in front of the remaining 3 slaughter god statues. He unleashed a force of over 1 trillion Jin and instantly blasted out 3,000 destructive fist lights, shattering the 3 slaughter god statues as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, sending them flying. Swish, swish, swish. The 3 massacre deity statues shattered, and the last 3 beams of divine light shot out, attacking Yi Chunfeng at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, the chaotic Dharma stood in front of Yi Chunfeng and allowed the 3 divine lights to break into his body and quickly suppress and refine them. Rumble! The 8 massacre god statues were destroyed. The stone tablets that were suppressed by the Divine Essence Pagoda trembled violently. However, the Divine Essence Pagoda was too powerful. The stone tablets with dark golden patterns could not break free from the suppression of the Divine Essence Pagoda. As the suppression of the Divine Essence Pagoda grew stronger, cracks appeared on the surface of the stone tablets. Finally, the Divine Essence Pagoda collapsed and turned into rubble. Swish, swish, swish. Chapter 1971. Chunfeng, is this the avatar you condensed? Yu Nikhang slowly walked over and asked in shock after sensing the terrifying aura of the Chaos Avatar. The Chaos Avatar is not my avatar. It is my avatar. Yi Chunfeng said. Avatar? What is that? The avatar mystique was a top-notch mystique from the alternate universe. Yu Nikhang had never heard of it before. The avatar mystique is a mystique from the alternate universe. It can condense a natal treasure into a powerful avatar. Yi Chunfeng explained in detail. Nikhang, what is your natal treasure? My natal treasure is the 3 Lives Baby Stone. Yu Nikhang said. The 3 Lives Baby Stone has the soul imprint of the soul nurturing stone. It is best not to condense an avatar. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, Nikhang, let's go in and take a look. Let's see if there are any treasures inside. If there are any life treasures that are suitable to replace the 3 lives young stone, I will impart the Transcendence Divine ability to you. Okay. Yu Nikhang nodded and followed Yi Chunfeng, who had put away the Divine Essence Pagoda. They slowly walked into the tomb within the tomb. Break. Yi Chunfeng punched out and broke the restriction at the entrance of the tomb with a force of more than 1 trillion pounds. Immediately after, an extremely uncomfortable cold aura surged out from the pitch-black tomb. As this tomb had existed for countless years, a large amount of Yin Qi had accumulated in the tomb. The Yin Qi was so strong that it could instantly kill an ordinary immortal state almighty. However, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang were strong enough to withstand the surging Yin Qi. The two of them held hands and walked into the mysterious tomb within the tomb with the moonlight stone. Bats. There are so many scarlet blood bats. Before long, the two of them saw tens of thousands of palm-sized scarlet blood bats with sharp teeth on the cold tomb walls. Although one scarlet blood bat was nothing to be afraid of, there were too many scarlet blood bats in the tomb. It was enough to kill an ancestor state almighty. PFFF. PFFF. Sensing the qi and blood in Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nichang's bodies, the red blood bats resting on the walls of the tomb were alarmed. They flapped their blood-red wings and let out ear-piercing screeches, attacking Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang from all directions. Sword domain. The densely packed scarlet blood bats that were blocking the passage rushed over. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward and raised his sword domain. Using the strong power of his domain, he continuously tore apart and killed the scarlet blood bat. Soon, Yi Chunfeng and Qin Nan arrived at the deepest part of the tomb. They discovered a wall over 10 zhang tall, carved with a large number of glowing runes. Buzz. Yi Chunfeng and Li Wuyo looked at the stone wall. When they released their powerful souls to probe the stone wall, they both felt their souls tremble. This light pattern on the stone wall, don't tell me it's some kind of supreme divine ability. Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the glowing runes on the wall. He discovered that these runes gathered together to form a mysterious cultivation chant. From the power of this chant, it was very likely to be a supreme divine ability. Yes, this light wall should be engraved with a supreme divine ability. Yu Risheng withdrew her soul power and opened her eyes. She nodded and said, Nikhang, why don't we comprehend this supreme divine ability first, then enter to search for treasures? Yi Chunfeng knew the preciousness and power of every supreme divine ability. Every time he grasped a supreme divine ability, his battle strength and foundation would increase greatly. All right. Yu Nikhang was also very interested in the supreme divine ability on the stone wall. She nodded and sat cross-legged on the stone wall with Yi Chunfeng. She released her powerful soul power into the stone wall and began to comprehend it. While Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang were comprehending the supreme divine ability in the tomb within the tomb, the situation outside the tomb of massacre suddenly changed. The celestial race and demon race powerhouses received news that someone had barged into the tomb of massacre. They immediately rushed over and heavily sealed the entrance of the tomb of massacre. Did you find out? Who was it that barged into the tomb of massacre and killed our celestial race and demon race powerhouses? An old man covered in a black robe spoke in a hoarse voice. His appearance couldn't be seen clearly, and his aura was constantly vibrating with the dark space around him. Reporting to Grand Elder, that person killed decisively. Anyone who saw him in my race was killed by him. A celestial race powerhouse guarding the entrance of the tomb of massacre respectfully said, We sent out spirit birds to search for him, but they didn't find any traces of him. How long has that person been in the tomb of massacre? The Grand Elder of the celestial race, who was a half-step empty god, asked in a low voice. It's been more than 3 months. It seems like clan leader's guess was right. There are still undiscovered opportunities in the tomb of massacre. That person must be plotting something. The Grand Elder said in a low voice. That person is so daring to kill our two races. He must be eliminated. The Grand Elder of the demon race, Mo Xian, who was a half-step empty god, said with a gloomy face. Let's go. Let's enter the tomb of massacre. I want to see who that person is and how dare he provoke our celestial race and demon race. After speaking, the celestial race and demon race powerhouses entered the eerie and terrifying tomb of massacre to search for Yi Qinfeng's whereabouts. However, the tomb within the tomb was too hidden. Back then, Supreme Celestial Race and Supreme Emperor Race didn't discover it. Therefore, it wasn't easy to find the entrance. Time flew by. Very quickly, a year had passed. Yi Qinfeng and Yu Nikhang were both extremely talented people. As they conversed, they patiently comprehended the supreme superpower on the stone wall and grasped its wonders. 10,000 Gods Test. What a domineering name! Yi Qinfeng was shocked by the power of the supreme superpower. Could this be a superpower left behind by a god? It doesn't matter if we can obtain the opportunities in the tomb within the tomb. Just mastering the supreme superpower of the 10,000 Gods Test is enough. Yu Nikhang was also shocked by the power of the 10,000 Gods Test. After mastering the supreme superpower, her combat strength increased tremendously. It's not enough. If we want to control our own destiny, we can't let go of any opportunities. Otherwise, the next time the ancient star road opens, we'll only be working for others. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said, Let's go, Nikhang. Let's continue forward and see what great opportunities await us. Wait. Yu Nikhang called out to Yi Qinfeng. Her hands quickly twisted as she deduced the Tao intent she had comprehended to the extreme. Her entire body turned into a roaring ocean that surged and caused the entire space to tremble violently. 10,000 Gods Test. Yu Nikhang roared. The ocean she transformed into roared violently, releasing an extreme power that could destroy gods and crush all living beings. It was like the ultimate destruction of heaven and earth as it blasted towards the stone wall. Boom! After being attacked by Yu Nichang's 10,000 Gods Test, the incomparably tough stone wall instantly shattered, revealing a bottomless black hole. We can't leave such a great opportunity to outsiders. After destroying the stone wall inscribed with the 10,000 Gods Test, Yu Nikhang smiled at Yi Qinfeng. She took the initiative to hold his hand and slowly walked into the pitch-black depths of the tomb. Along the way, the two of them worked together to break through the powerful restrictions in the tomb within the tomb. About 3 days later, the two of them arrived at the end of the tomb within the tomb and discovered a stone room sealed with powerful restrictions. Chapter 1972. 4 Ancient Bronze Coffins. Looks like we're in luck. The Tomb of Massacre was suspected to be a tomb created by God. The 4 bronze coffins sealed with layers of restriction shackles were no small matter. If they could obtain them, it would definitely increase Yi Qinfeng and Yu Nichang's abilities by a large margin. However, the 4 ancient bronze coffins were guarded by statues. In order to obtain the treasures in the bronze coffins, they would first have to kill the 4 guardian statues. Nikhang, this divine spirit pagoda is for you to protect yourself. Although Yi Qinfeng's level was far lower than Yu Nichang's peak progenitor level, his combat strength surpassed Yu Nichang's. As a precaution, he lent the divine spirit pagoda to Yu Nikhang. All right. Yu Nikhang did not stand on ceremony with Yi Qinfeng. She took the divine spirit pagoda and carefully approached the 4 guardian statues with Yi Qinfeng. Vroom vroom vroom. Sensing the duo's approach, the 4 guardian statues suddenly opened their tightly shut eyes. 2 beams of light shot out of their eyes and locked onto Yi Qinfeng and Yu Nikhang. 4 half-step virtual god-level guardian statues. Sensing the terrifying aura from the 4 guardian statues, Yi Qinfeng immediately confirmed that the 4 guardian statues' abilities had all reached half-step virtual god level. Although the 4 guardian statues had terrifying abilities, Yi Qinfeng was not surprised. Instead, he was overjoyed. The more powerful the guardian statues were, the more precious the opportunity in the 4 ancient bronze coffins would be. Nick Heng, can you fight one guardian statue by yourself? Yi Chunfeng quickly asked through voice transmission. Don't worry, Chunfeng. I can fight 2 guardian statues by myself. Although Yi Chunfeng's combat strength was terrifying, Yu Nikhang was worried about letting him fight 3 guardian statues by himself. No, you only need to fight 1 guardian statue. Leave the rest to me. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and summoned the virtual god weapon, Divine Sword Glutton. Void God Artifact. Yu Nikhang shuddered inexplicably when she sensed the destructive aura from the heaven-devouring sword. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng ignited his primordial bloodline and unleashed the Tao of weapon manipulation, slashing out with an invincible sword. Buzz! The heaven-devouring sword slashed out and the entire space immediately cracked. The terrifying sword light was like a spatial crack that kept cracking. The sword slashed apart a fully awakened guardian idol with a terrifying aura. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. When the guardian idol shattered, 6 extremely fast beams of divine light immediately shot out from his body and attacked Yi Chunfeng. Chaos Dharma form. Yi Chunfeng summoned his Chaos Dharma idol and placed it in front of him, allowing the 6 beams of light to enter his body. He used the majestic power of chaos to suppress them. After refining more than 10 beams of divine light earlier, the strength of the Chaos Dharma idol had increased tremendously. If he allowed the Chaos Dharma idol to continue devouring, it might be able to use the powerful divine energy contained in the divine light to break through to the virtual god realm. When that happened, Yi Chunfeng would be able to combine with the Chaos Dharma idol and unleash the true combat strength of a virtual god. It would be enough to deal with the threat of a virtual god. Nikhang, there are 2 guardian idols left. We will take one each and end this quickly. After using the Divine Sword Glutton to destroy one of the guardian idols, Yi Chunfeng immediately shouted at Yu Nikhang, who was stunned. All right. Yu Nikhang realized that she still knew too little about Yi Chunfeng. His combat strength and foundation had far exceeded her imagination. Die! One of the guardian idols roared and unleashed a shocking force. He threw a punch at Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying fist radiance kept collapsing the space, trying to shatter Yi Chunfeng. We don't know who's going to die yet. Yi Chunfeng did not dodge. He took a step forward and left a deep footprint on the hard ground. He unleashed more than 2 trillion pounds of strength and threw a punch at the guardian idols. Boom! Yi Chunfeng and the guardian idol's fists collided. The terrifying repulsive force caused the space to tremble violently and cracks to appear. Although the guardian idols were powerful, Yi Chunfeng's physical strength was not weaker than theirs. After the collision of fists, both of them were evenly matched. Neither of them could do anything to the other. Invincible sword body. Yi Chunfeng suppressed the boiling blood in his body and activated the powerful invincible sword body. He summoned the Divine Sword Glutton and launched a ferocious attack on the guardian idols. With Yi Chunfeng's current strength, he could not unleash the most powerful attack of the Divine Sword Glutton. However, the Divine Sword Glutton was an empty god weapon after all. His attack was not something the guardian idols could withstand. The guardian idols' attacks were constantly countered, and the tough body of the guardian idols was slashed by the Divine Sword Glutton. When Yi Chunfeng used the Divine Sword Glutton to suppress the guardian idols, the Chaos Dharma power used its absolute strength to suppress the guardian idols and force them to retreat. Unseal the 3 lives power. Enduring the ferocious attacks of the guardian idols, Yu Nikhang unsealed the seal on her body. She instantly raised her combat strength to half-step to empty god. She controlled the god's spirit tower to attack the guardian idols, while she performed the levitation palace's unique skill to attack the guardian idols. 10,000 gods attack. When Yu Nikhang controlled the god's spirit tower to suppress the guardian idols' heads, her slender fingers moved quickly and merged with the powerful space energy. She released an invincible attack that could destroy the gods and crush all living things. It was as if the end of the world had arrived, and she attacked the guardian idols. Crack, crack, crack. Cracks appeared on the guardian idol's tough body as it endured the attack of Unichang's 10,000 gods attack. The guardian idols' bodies were sent flying by the explosive force of the 10,000 gods attack. They were thrown thousands of meters away, and they crashed into the hard stone walls. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Moon Raiment heavily injure the guardian deity statue. Yi Chunfeng was completely relieved. He held Divine Sword swallow the sky and launched wave after wave of attacks at the guardian deity statue. He wanted to end the battle quickly and kill it. Godless Sword. When Yi Chunfeng forcefully tore through the guardian idol's attack, his entire body fused with the heaven-devouring sword. With a single sword strike, he tore through space and pierced toward the guardian idol's chest at a speed several tens of times faster than the speed of light. The terrifying sword might even caused cracks to appear on the guardian idol's extremely tough body. 3,000 God-transforming punch. After injuring the guardian idols with one sword attack, Yi Chunfeng increased his physical strength to the maximum. He evolved the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams and launched 3,000 God-transforming punches at close range. They landed on the guardian idols' broken bodies, shattering more than half of the guardian idols' bodies. Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikheng severely injured the guardian idols. The more powerful chaotic Dharma crushed the guardian idols with an unstoppable force. They swallowed the 6 godly lights that flew out of the guardian idols' bodies and suppressed them by force. Ancestral swords. When the chaos Dharma form shattered a guardian statue, Yi Chunfeng leaped high into the air and raised the power of the invincible sword body to the extreme. In an instant, tens of thousands of divine swords were formed. They were like a river of swords that fell from the sky, crushing everything in the space. They bombarded the body of the guardian statue with invincible force, shattering it with one blow. Before the 6 godly lights in the guardian idols' bodies could attack Yi Chunfeng, the chaotic Dharma stood in front of the 6 godly lights and swallowed them. In less than half an hour, only one of the 4 half-step empty God realm guardian statues was left. The last guardian statue could no longer withstand the Moon Raiment's ferocious attacks, and its body was constantly smashed into pieces. Break. As Moon Raiment roared, she launched a series of ferocious attacks at the severely damaged protector statue, shattering its incomparably tough body in one blow. Devour. The chaotic Dharma stood in front of Yu Nikheng and swallowed the godly lights that contained divine power. I wonder if these 24 godly lights can help the chaotic Dharma break through to virtual God level. Chapter 1973. Let's go and open the coffins. After forcefully destroying the 4 guardian statues, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikheng adjusted their breathing for a while and healed their injuries. Then, they came to the side of the first ancient copper coffin that was entwined with a large number of restriction chains. Together, they broke the restriction chains and forcefully opened the coffin lid that weighed 10 billion pounds. The next moment, a terrifying energy aura gushed out from the ancient coffin, causing the entire space to become chaotic and turbulent, constantly producing strange phenomena. This is a slaughter origin bead. Looking at the fist-sized bead filled with slaughter origin energy lying silently in the ancient copper coffin, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikheng immediately recognized that this bead was the incomparably precious slaughter origin energy. Origin energy was the most precious and rare energy in the universe. Every wisp of origin energy was incomparably powerful, and this slaughter origin bead in front of them contained more than one wisp of origin energy. If Yi Chunfeng could refine all of them, he would be able to borrow the power of the slaughter origin bead to step into the realm of a 6-star Tao ancestor. Collect. Yi Chunfeng's hands quickly twisted, deducing a powerful Tao intent. He instantly formed several complicated hand seals, forcibly sealing the slaughter origin bead, and then put it into the universe realm. He was prepared to obtain the treasures in the remaining 3 coffins and then share them. The treasure sealed in the first coffin is already so precious. I wonder what kind of treasures are sealed in the other 3 coffins. With strong curiosity, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang came to the side of the second ancient copper coffin, broke the restriction chains, and forcefully pushed open the coffin lid that weighed 10 billion pounds. Buzz! Yi Chunfeng pushed open a crack on the coffin lid, and a surge of murderous aura gushed out from the coffin. This murderous aura was so strong that Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang could smell a strong sense of danger. At this moment, all the hair on their bodies stood on end. Danger! Sensing danger, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang instinctively retreated. The moment they retreated, a surge of killing intent gushed out from the ancient bronze coffin, shattering the coffin lid that weighed tens of billions of kilograms. In the next moment, an abnormally tall and sturdy man whose entire body was shrouded in strands of black light and filled with a soaring murderous aura slowly sat up. He opened his obsidian-like eyes and looked at Yi Chunfeng and the other man. This aura belongs to a low-level virtual god. Looking into the man's sharp eyes, Yi Chunfeng and the other man felt like they were being stared at by a ferocious beast. They felt a strong sense of danger. Judging from the murderous intent emanating from him, the man's ability had most likely reached low-level virtual god level. Slaughter Doppelganger. He is the Slaughter Doppelganger that Yu Huashan deduced using the 3 lives stone. Seeing the Slaughter Doppelganger, Yu Nichang's expression changed. Nikhang, stand back and let me deal with him. Although the Slaughter Doppelganger in front of them had terrifying ability and was suspected to have reached virtual god level, Yi Chunfeng's current ability and foundation were enough to contend with a virtual god almighty. No, let's deal with him together. Yu Nikhang shook her head and said firmly. Don't worry, Nikhang. Don't worry about me. Your husband can fight a low-level virtual god now. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said confidently. He summoned his Chaos Dharma again. Although the Chaos Dharma had only refined a small portion of the divine light, his ability had improved significantly. He was one step closer to the real virtual god realm. Chaos Dharma, merge. Yi Chunfeng's mind moved and merged with the Chaos Dharma. In an instant, Yi Chunfeng's combat strength shot up to half-step to virtual god. Then, he merged with the god's heart and raised his combat strength to low-level virtual god. Low-level virtual god. Qingfeng can unleash the power of a low-level virtual god. Yu Nichang's beautiful eyes widened. She realized that she did not recognize Yi Chunfeng anymore. It could be said that all the techniques that Yi Chunfeng displayed were completely beyond her imagination. Even Yu Huashan did not have such technique. Nikhang, stand back. If I can't defeat him, come and help me. Yi Chunfeng shouted at Yu Nikhang as his combat strength shot up. All right. Yu Nikhang enjoyed the feeling of being protected. She nodded and retreated to the side. Come on. Show me the real power of a virtual god. Yi Chunfeng expanded his sword territory and attacked the Slaughter Doppelganger with his divine sword swallowing sky. As Yi Chunfeng attacked, the Slaughter Doppelganger's pitch-black eyes shot out a powerful domain, forcefully blocking the attack of the sword domain. Slaughter Territory. Sensing the Slaughter Doppelganger's territory power that contained a powerful Slaughter Territory power, Yi Chunfeng immediately merged the sword territory power into the divine sword swallowing sky. He slashed at the terrifying Slaughter Territory. Gotcha! Under the attack of the divine sword swallowing sky, the Slaughter Territory cracked. The terrifying sword glow continued to hit the Slaughter Doppelganger's body. What a tough body! After taking on the attack of the divine sword swallowing sky, the Slaughter Doppelganger's body only cracked a little. Yi Chunfeng was shocked by the toughness of the Slaughter Doppelganger's body. The Slaughter domain shattered as the Slaughter Doppelganger grabbed the ancient bronze coffin that weighed billions of kilograms and smashed it towards Yi Chunfeng like it was swinging a towering mountain with trillions of kilograms of force. Boom! The ancient bronze coffin and the divine sword-swallowing sky collided. The explosive force shook the stone room vigorously. The entire tomb shook from the intense fight between the two of them. Ancestral Dragon's Eye. After taking on the ancient bronze coffin's attack, the ancestral dragon's eye cracked open on Yi Qinfeng's forehead. It shot out tens of thousands of rays of light and attacked the slaughtered doppelganger. The ancestral dragon's eye pierced through space and attacked. The slaughtered doppelganger immediately threw a punch. The terrifying slaughter territory power crushed everything, including the ancestral dragon's eye's attack. Ancestral swords, infinite chaos, 10,000 gods attack. The slaughtered doppelganger continued to break through the attacks. Yi Qinfeng controlled the endless ancestral power in his body to boil. He activated his invincible sword body and merged his ancestral sword soul and sword territory. He forcefully performed 3 supreme superpowers and attacked the slaughtered doppelganger. Yi Qinfeng turned his body into tens of thousands of swords. His left hand turned into infinite chaos and his right hand turned into 10,000 gods attack. The moment the 3 supreme superpowers were performed, the space was destroyed and the sun was gone. It was as if the entire world was about to be destroyed. Although the slaughtered doppelganger was strong, it still couldn't withstand the attacks of Yi Qinfeng's 3 supreme superpowers. Ka. The slaughter territory that the slaughtered doppelganger forcefully maintained was shattered. The terrifying supreme superpowers bombarded his body continuously and sent him flying. He crashed into the incomparably tough wall and created a deep hole, performing 3 supreme superpowers at the same time. Even an ordinary void god wouldn't be able to do that. Yu Nikhang was completely convinced by Yi Qinfeng's strength. She looked at him with a gentle gaze. What's that sound? The intense battle between Yi Qinfeng and the slaughtered doppelganger in the depths of the tomb caused a huge commotion. It caused the entire tomb to tremble and alerted the Imperial Sky Clan and Demon Race experts who were searching for Yi Qinfeng's whereabouts. Grand Elder Emotian, follow me and attack this space wall. Relying on his powerful perception, the Grand Imperial Elder detected the source of the tremors in space. Together with the half-stepped virtual god Emotian, they attacked together and forcibly broke through the tough space walls of the Tomb of Massacre. They took the risk of entering the black space, crossing the space and entering the chaotic surroundings of the tomb within the tomb. So you were hiding here. Chapter 1974. Die. The slaughter clone's defense was terrifying. Although it was severely injured, it did not affect its combat strength. It picked up 2 bronze coffins that weighed tens of billions of pounds and threw them at Yi Qinfeng. Godless sword. The slaughtered doppelganger swung the 2 ancient bronze coffins and attacked. Yi Qinfeng immediately sped up the flow of time by 10 times and stabbed out with a merciless sword, stabbing into the slaughtered doppelganger's broken chest. Swish! Like a hot knife through butter, the divine sword pierced into the body of the slaughtered doppelganger. However, this sword did not affect the doppelganger's attack. The 2 ancient bronze coffins smashed heavily on Yi Qinfeng's body, leaving bloody scars on his body. Large amounts of blood spurted out from his wounds. Qinfeng. Yu Nichang's face turned pale when she saw that Yi Qinfeng was injured by the slaughter clone. Her heart was in her throat and she wanted to save him. Senior Shinshu, Senior Timeless, Grim Reaper and Demi-Demon, come out now. Yi Qinfeng did not force himself. As he healed his body, he summoned the 4 demi-virtual gods from the universe mirror and attacked the slaughter clone together. 4 demi-virtual gods. Yu Nikhang, who was about to attack, was shocked when she saw Shin Daoshu, Demi-Demon, and the rest. She was shocked that Yi Qinfeng had such a terrifying force with him. Slaughter territory. At the same time, under the attacks of Yi Qinfeng, Shin Daoshu, and the others, the slaughtered doppelganger's offensive was instantly suppressed. He quickly opened up his slaughter domain, wanting to use it to defend against the attacks of Yi Qinfeng and the others. Sword territory, God territory, Grim Reaper territory, Demi-Demon territory. The moment the slaughter clone opened up its slaughter territory, Yi Chunfeng and the other four released their powerful territories at the same time and collided with the slaughter territory. Under the impact of the 5 areas, the slaughter area created by the slaughter doppelganger was instantly shattered. The terrifying power of the area slammed into the slaughtered doppelganger and sent him flying again. He crashed into the hard stone wall, creating a huge hole. Divine sword swallows the heavens, scythe of death, divine void sword. The instant the slaughtered doppelganger crashed into the stone wall, Yi Chunfeng and the other four simultaneously used their strongest weapons to attack, severely injuring the slaughtered doppelganger and not giving it any chance to breathe. What has Qingfeng been through all these years? Eunuch Hang was filled with curiosity towards Yi Chunfeng's experiences over the past 100 years. She was curious as to how he managed to gather such a terrifying power. Kill. His injuries continued to worsen, but the slaughtered doppelganger did not slow down his attacks. He let out a series of ferocious roars and continuously tore apart the attacks of Yi Chunfeng and the others, desperately resisting. Just Yi Chunfeng alone was already evenly matched with him. With the addition of Shen Daoxiu and the others, the slaughtered doppelganger's resistance became weak and powerless. It could not hurt Yi Chunfeng at all. Everyone, help me suppress him. After witnessing the terrifying battle strength of the slaughtered doppelganger, Yi Chunfeng decided to use the child brain that the God-Eater brain had just nurtured to control him, and then send him to Eunuch Hang. Eunuch Hang had the protection of the low-level virtual god slaughtered doppelganger, so Yi Chunfeng could rest assured and let her return to Yuhua Palace. All right. Shen Daoxiu and the others nodded and once again released their powerful territories. They merged the 4 great territories together and suppressed the slaughtered doppelganger. Roar, roar, roar. As the 4 great territories suppressed him, the slaughtered doppelganger let out a series of inhuman roars and used all his strength to open up the slaughter territory to resist. 10,000 God tribulation. At that moment, Yi Chunfeng pushed the 4 great Tao meanings to the extreme and merged them with the invincible sword body and sword territory. He blasted out a terrifying attack, as if the end of the world had arrived and broke through the slaughter territory. Then, the 4 great territories suppressed him. The terrifying power directly suppressed the slaughtered doppelganger's legs into the hard ground, causing cracks to appear on the ground. Godless sword. When the slaughtered doppelganger was suppressed, Yi Chunfeng held the divine void sword in his hand and quickly stabbed out. The sword pierced a hole in the slaughtered doppelganger's head and took out the child brain that the God-Eater brain had just nurtured. He let it go through the hole and into the slaughtered doppelganger's head, eroding his consciousness. Roar, 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 roar. The slaughtered doppelganger covered his head with both hands and roared in pain. The terrifying sound caused cracks to appear in the chaotic space, causing Shen Daoxiu and the others to have a splitting headache and bleeding from their 7 orifices. Everyone, come back quickly! Yi Chunfeng was afraid that something would happen to Shen Daoxiu and the others. He gathered the sword territory to suppress the slaughtered doppelganger and called for them to come back. Ka. Yi Chunfeng's sword territory continued to crack under the painful attacks of the slaughtered doppelganger. In order to control the slaughtered doppelganger, Yi Chunfeng did not retreat. He clenched his teeth and bitterly persevered. He constantly repaired the cracks in the sword territory and used all his strength to suppress the slaughtered doppelganger. Die for me. Just as the slaughtered doppelganger was about to lose his consciousness, he unleashed a killing blow at Yi Chunfeng. It pierced through the sword territory and bombarded Yi Chunfeng. Bang! Yi Chunfeng, who could not dodge in time, was struck by the slaughtered doppelganger's killing blow. His entire body exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Chingfeng. Eunuch Heng witnessed the scene of Yi Chunfeng being destroyed by the slaughtered doppelganger. Her heart fell into a bottomless abyss, and her tears flowed uncontrollably. Never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that such an outcome would occur. Yi Chunfeng, who should have had the absolute advantage, was destroyed by the slaughtered doppelganger. Just as Yu Nikhang felt like her heart was being pierced by a knife and ran desperately, Yi Chunfeng performed the undying divine ability. He rapidly repaired his physical body and retreated. Qingfeng, Yu Nikhang widened her eyes in disbelief as she watched Yi Chunfeng repair his physical body instantly and become as good as new. Yi Chunfeng gently wiped the tears from the corner of Yu Nichang's eyes and comforted her softly. "Don't worry. Your husband has 9 lives. He won't die." The slaughtered doppelganger that was in a frenzy after being controlled by the Soul Eater gradually calmed down. Eventually, it stopped attacking and stood where it was in silence. "Nikhang, this low-level virtual god-level slaughtered doppelganger is for you. With it, I can let you return to Ascension Palace without worry," Yi Chunfeng said. "All right then, I'll accept this slaughtered doppelganger." Yu Nikhang nodded. She bit her finger and tapped the slaughtered doppelganger's head, attempting to make it recognize her as its master. Under the control of Yi Chunfeng's consciousness, the slaughtered doppelganger did not resist Yu Nichang's origin blood. It allowed it to flow into its body and establish a blood connection. After more than an hour, Yu Nikhang, who had squeezed out a large amount of origin blood, successfully recognized the slaughtered doppelganger as its master. Soul Eater's brain, keep it! Yi Chunfeng activated his mind and recalled the Soul Eater's brain. He also recalled Yu Nichang's slaughtered doppelganger into his body to refine it. Qingfeng, this is, sensing that the relationship between Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang was not simple, the kind divine Daoshu asked. "Senior, this is my wife, Yu Nikhang, whom I've been looking for." "Nikhang, this is Senior Divine Daoshu and this is Senior Timeless. They're both almighties of the Protoss." Yi Chunfeng introduced them to each other. Nikhang greets both seniors. "Thank you so much for taking care of Qingfeng," Yu Nikhang said gratefully. "If you're talking about taking care of us, it's your husband who takes care of us two old bones. Without Qingfeng, we wouldn't have been able to achieve half-step virtual god level so quickly," Divine Daoshu said with a smile. "All right, let's continue opening the coffins." Chapter 1975. Open. Yi Chunfeng shattered the restriction chains and forcefully pushed open the heavy coffin lid. Waves of domain power shot out from the ancient bronze coffin. "These are territory stones. 3 territory stones." Looking at the 3 basin-sized dark gray stones in the ancient bronze coffin that contained a powerful domain, Shun Daoshu and Shin Daoshu, who had lived for countless years, immediately recognized that these 3 dark gray stones were the domain stones that they had been painstakingly searching for. If they could comprehend the territory stones, they were confident that they could step into the empty god realm within 100 years. "Qingfeng, I know our request is a little abrupt, but these territory stones are very important to us. I wonder if you can give us one each so that we can comprehend the complete territory and break through to the empty god realm," Shin Daoshu said with a face full of desire. "No problem." Yi Chunfeng had comprehended the sword territory, so the territory stones were not very useful to him. He was not stingy and gave 2 territory stones to Shin Daoshu and Shen Hengu. As for the last territory stone, he gave it to Yu Nikhang along with a chaos divine fruit that contained part of the territory essence. "All right, let's open the last coffin." Yi Chunfeng came to the last coffin. He wanted to know what kind of treasure was hidden in this coffin and whether it was as valuable as the previous 3 coffins. "Open!" Yi Chunfeng roared and broke the chains of the ancient bronze coffin. He forcefully lifted the coffin lid that weighed 10 billion kilograms. He discovered a palm-sized, earthy yellow flag engraved with profound formation patterns. It was an ancient flag that radiated with the power of heaven and earth. Could this be the legendary empty god weapon, the heaven and earth flag? Sensing the power of heaven and earth from the ancient flag, The origin of this ancient flag immediately appeared in Shin Daoshu's mind. The heaven and earth flag. Qingfeng, are you saying that this is the legendary heaven and earth flag? Shin Daoshu and Shin Xiuheng had heard of the heaven and earth flag before. They knew that this ancient flag was called the Flag Ancestor and that it had the terrifying power to distort the void. Yes, this should be the heaven and earth flag. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, I didn't expect that we would have such a harvest in the Tomb of Slaughter. This trip was not in vain. Come, Nikhang, I'll give you this black-yellow flag as well. It'll be your natal treasure. Although the mysterious yellow flag was extremely precious, for Yi Chunfeng, Yunichang's life was more important. Yi Chunfeng directly gave the mysterious yellow flag to Yu Nikhang. No, Chunfeng, it's enough for me to have the Slaughter doppelganger. You should keep the black-yellow flag with you. Yu Nikhang shook her head and declined. Yi Chunfeng forcibly shoved the Xianwang flag into Yu Nichang's hand and said seriously, Nikhang, listen to me. Quickly refine the Xianwang flag into your life treasure. Then, I will teach you the divine mirror image. Maybe the divine mirror image can solve the crisis of your life jade being controlled by Yu Huashan. Alright. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's gentle gaze, Yu Nichang's heart was filled with gratitude and happiness. She didn't refuse, but dripped a drop of blood on the Xianwang flag to bind it to her body. Seniors, hurry and return to the universe realm to cultivate. Try to break through to the void spirit realm as soon as possible. So speaking, Yi Chunfeng sent Shin Daoshu and the rest back to the universe realm. Mu Linger, hurry and come out. For the sake of understanding Yu Nichang's danger, Yi Chunfeng sent Mu Linger out. Linger, I want to ask you something. My wife's life jade is in the hands of a bad guy. Do you have a way to solve her crisis? That's very simple. As long as your wife forms a Dharma idol and splits her life spirit into it, she'll be able to keep her life even if the bad guy crushes her life tablet. Mu Linger said. Linger, do you have a way to split the life jade? Although Mu Linger's method was feasible, Yi Chunfeng didn't know how to do it. I do. Mu Linger nodded and taught Yi Chunfeng a way to split the life jade. Many thanks, Linger. Yi Chunfeng rejoiced at the knowledge. As long as Yu Nikhang formed a Dharma idol and split her life jade, her fate wouldn't be under Yu Huashan's control. Nikhang, come to the universe realm to refine the Xianwang flag. It'll be faster this way. For the sake of saving time, Yi Chunfeng sent Yu Nikhang to the core of the universe realm so she could refine the Xianwang flag faster. Qingfeng, you found Big Sis Nikhang? While Yu Nikhang was refining the Xianwang flag, Xia Wendy sensed her presence and slowly walked over. When she saw the elegant and graceful figure of Yu Nikhang, she felt a bit nervous, afraid that Yu Nikhang wouldn't accept her. I've already found Nikhang. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Wendy, trust me, Nikhang will definitely accept you. Xia Wendy nodded lightly and bit her lip. If Big Sis Nikhang can't accept me, I'll leave you. Trust me, the three of us will never part. Yi Chunfeng gently stroked Xia Wendy's soft hair and comforted her. Time flew by. Half a year in the outside world was 25 years in the universe realm. During these 25 years, Yi Chunfeng was refining the Slaughter origin energy and consolidating his cultivation foundation to break through to the 5-star Dao Ancestor realm. At the same time, he was controlling the God-Eater brain to comprehend the profound mysteries of time contained within the divine wood of time. The Chaos Dharma form had devoured all the divine light and was only a step away from breaking through to the empty God realm. Someone is coming. Just as Yi Chunfeng was trying to break through to the next realm, the primitive Taoist embryo hidden in the wormhole discovered the Grand Elder and the others who had entered the second level of the tomb within the tomb. It immediately informed Yi Chunfeng. Nikhang, how much longer do you need to refine the Xianwang flag? Knowing that the enemies were coming, Yi Chunfeng lowered his voice and transmitted it into Yu Nichang's ears. I'll need at most half a year to refine the Xian Wang flag into my life treasure. Yu Nikheng replied. Great. Without a map, it was not easy to find the core of the tomb within the tomb. Yi Chunfeng let the primitive Taoist embryo and the space swallower hide well and continued to cultivate in the universe realm. He was refining the slaughter origin energy and the energy of the god's heart and comprehending the Tao of time. After refining one strand of slaughter origin energy, Yi Chunfeng's cultivation foundation had become incomparably solid. Sensing that the time was right, Yi Chunfeng fused with the second strand of slaughter origin energy and used all his strength to break through to the 5-star Tao ancestor realm. Crack, crack, crack. Under the impact of the slaughter origin energy, the bottleneck of Yi Chunfeng's realm was shattered. With a spurt of energy, he broke through the bottleneck and broke through to the 5-star Tao ancestor realm. After breaking through to the 5-star Tao ancestor realm, Yi Chunfeng still had 5 slaughter origin energies and part of the energy of the god's heart. As long as he strengthened his cultivation foundation, he could definitely break through to the 6-star Tao ancestor realm with the remaining slaughter origin energy and the energy of the god's heart. Not long after Yi Chunfeng broke through to the 6-star Tao ancestor realm, Yu Nikheng successfully refined the black-yellow flag into her body and made it her life treasure. Nikheng, remember, I am going to teach you the Dharma idol divine power and the immortal divine power. Yi Chunfeng came in front of Yu Nikheng and controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce quickly. He forcibly imprinted the cultivation chant of the 2 divine powers and the method of splitting the life soul into Yu Nichang's soul. Nikheng, as long as you condense the black-yellow Dharma idol and split the life soul, even if Yu Huashan controls your life tablet, he will not be able to threaten your life. Okay. Yu Nikheng nodded and smiled charmingly. By the way, Chunfeng, she is Wendy, right? I heard Ming mention her before. Yi Chunfeng nodded and asked, Yes, Wendy has been with me these days when you were not with me. Nikheng, are you willing to accept Wendy? Okay, I want a sister. If you dare to bully me, Wendy and I will deal with you together. Yu Nikheng knew Yi Chunfeng's feelings for her, so naturally she accepted Wendy. This made Yi Chunfeng and Wendy, who were slightly nervous, let out a long sigh of relief. Thank you, Sister Nikheng, Wendy said sweetly. Okay, Nikheng, the divine race and the demon race have found the tomb within the tomb. Quickly try to condense the black-yellow Dharma idol. When you have condensed the black-yellow Dharma idol, we will go out and meet the enemy. Yi Chunfeng said. Okay. Yu Nikheng nodded and got rid of all distracting thoughts. She began to devote herself to the process of condensing the black-yellow Dharma idol.